Good morning, everyone. Ooh, microphone's working. Welcome. And welcome to the New Jersey Cannabis Regulatory Commission's meeting for the last meeting for calendar year 2024. The time is 11:15 and I call this meeting to order. Mr. Saeed, can you please read the notice of the meeting? Good morning, everyone. Ooh, microphone's working. Welcome. And welcome to the New Jersey Cannabis Regulatory Commission's meeting for the last meeting for calendar year.
Chairwoman, this is a regularly scheduled meeting of the New Jersey Cannabis Regulatory. Adequate notice of this meeting has been provided in accordance with the Senator Byron M. Baer Open Public Meetings Act. Notice of the meeting was provided to the Asbury Park Press, Bergen Record, Courier Post, Star Ledger, and the Trenton Times on December 12th, 2023. The agenda and information regarding the in-person meeting and the ability to live stream was also posted on the CRC website. The meeting time and location has also been posted on the website of the New Jersey Cannabis Regulatory Commission and with the Office of the Secretary of State.
Thank you. Can you please take roll call?
Commissioner Barker. Commissioner Belcid-Coso.
Present.
Commissioner Nash.
Present.
Vice Chair Delgado. Present. Chairwoman Wayne.
Present.
We now have a quorum. The first order of business is for the commission to go into executive session to discuss legal matters and litigation and investigation updates. These are discussions that are not shared with the public. We believe the executive session should take about 2 hours.
Thank you. Do I have is there a motion to go into executive session?
Madam Chairwoman, I move that we go into executive session.
Second. Is there any discussion on this motion? Hearing no discussion, all those in favor of going into executive session, say aye. Aye. All those opposed say nay. Any abstentions? Motion passes. So as Mr. Saeed noted, we expect the executive session to last approximately 2 hours. We will, some staff members will remain in the room, but they will not be able to answer any questions about the agenda during that time. For those folks who have joined us in person today, you're welcome to leave, do whatever you need to do, and come back in about 2 hours for us to resume our open public session. So we can expect to resume the public session of this meeting, the public portion. We'll say we'll do 1:20 p.m. Thanks, everyone. Good afternoon, we are back. The time is 1:26 and we will resume the public portion of this meeting. Mr. Saeed, can you please come to the next agenda item?
Next up on the agenda is approving the minutes of both the commission's open and executive sessions held on October 17th and October 30th. The minutes have been shared with the members of the commission prior to this meeting.
Thank you. If there are no edits or questions about the meeting minutes for October 17th and October 30th, I'll ask for a motion. So moved, Madam Chair. Commissioner Belcid-Coso moves to adopt the meeting minutes for October 17th and October 30th. Is there a second? Second. Seconded by Commissioner Nash. Is there any discussion on this motion? Hearing no discussion, all those in favor say aye. Aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say nay. Any abstentions? Motion passes.
The next item on the agenda is the chair's report.
Right, so we have reached the end, our last board meeting for the year 2024. At the beginning of the year, I shared the board's priorities for this year, so I would like to take the opportunity to provide the board and the public an update on where we are on some of these priorities. And I'm happy to report that many of our priorities for the year have been completed or will be completed by the end of today's meeting. Our agency budget was increased over the last year, by approximately $1 million, about 5%. We've had an increase of about 15%, in, staff. Our Office of Compliance and Enforcement team continues to grow, and additional training undertaken by that unit this year has enhanced staff's ability to detect regulatory violations. So I thank Director Urbish's leadership of the Office of Compliance and Investigations there. In October, the board approved the New Jersey Institute of Technology to perform an independent study of the commission. And so Vice Chair Delgado and I on the audit committee will be working to get that study underway. We also conducted roundtables to identify opportunities for improvements. We have three of our committees held roundtables to hear from patients, medical and adult use operators, sister agencies, and advocacy groups to explore challenges and opportunities in expanding registered patient benefits and whether to expand business operations across the state. Findings from these roundtables will be used to shape our vision for the future of New Jersey's medicinal and adult use cannabis industries. So thank you to everyone who participated in those roundtables. That feedback was tremendously valuable. We did establish the ad hoc committee to recommend updates to our bylaws, and the bylaws committee has finished their evaluation, and they'll be providing a report on their findings today. We solicited industry feedback on the licensing process. The Permitting and Licensing Committee held a statewide listening session and 3 focus groups to gather stakeholder input on the application and licensing process. Thank you again to all the members of the public and the regulated community who participated in those conversations. We are required to, one of our other priorities was to get fully caught up on our required annual reports. So later today, we'll vote on the adult use cannabis annual report for 2022 and 2023. If approved, we will then be fully caught up on our annual reports. We do still have left to complete, but we've made significant progress on recommending improvements to the license and renewal process. So the Permitting and Licensing Committee is planning to present its findings to the board early next year on the license and permit renewal process. Our Product Safety, Packaging, and Labeling Committee is in the process of reviewing customer complaints to identify any safety concerns and providing any input, providing recommendations to the board from there. And we've made significant progress in updating our, medical cannabis regulations. Our legal team has done yeoman's work to create an initial draft of our rule proposal updating the medicinal cannabis regulations. Right now, the draft is at more than 400 pages, so we're working to get the document in a good place for the board to review. So I want to give a special thanks to our regulatory officer, Noah Mamber, and Chief Counsel Dave Toison for the time and the energy that they've poured into getting this first draft together. I also want to thank the entire NJ-CRC team, both staff and board members alike, for their dedication to our stated priorities. And also thank you for your responsiveness. I know I can be a stickler for staying on task so that we reach our goals. But your willingness to tackle this work head on is the reason why we've been able to complete so many of these priorities. So thank you to everyone for their work and their time. That's it for the chair's report. I'm happy to say that we've made, that we have actually been able to really complete and bring across the finish line a lot of the priorities, and a lot of our hard work is paying off in making our agency more transparent, stronger, and more efficient. So, thank you, and that concludes today's chair's report, and if there are no questions, then I will turn it over to Mr. Saeed for next agenda item.
The next item on the agenda is the executive director's report.
So before I get into some of the numbers and the data that we provide every report, I also want to thank everyone on the board and staff for all the accomplishments that we've had this year. The hard work and dedication shows that New Jersey can be the premier cannabis market on the East Coast. I can now predict that we will reach $1 billion in sales for this year. So that is a great milestone, and it's all the hard work, policies, and priorities that staff and the board have collaborated on and put in place. So I do want to echo the same things that Chairwoman Wayne had said. With priorities, we're getting there. We're going to continue to work towards all of our goals, and we will be having priorities set for 2025 with an effort to reach them. Next slide, please. So an update on dispensary openings. Right now, we have more than 190 medical and recreational dispensaries open in all 21 counties. There's a list on the right-hand side of the new recreational only dispensaries. You'll see we have some in the northern region, some more central, and some more in the south. So we're getting more openings every day. Please make sure you check the website for these openings. Now, for a licensing update, total licenses approved as of November 25th, 2024. There's a total of 2,805 applications that have been submitted through our licensing portal. A little over 2,100 of those applications have been approved. There are 115 applications that are under review in our Office of Licensing. We have 361 applications under resubmission following a cure. If you are one of those 361 applications that has an outstanding cure, please submit the required information that has been requested of you so that we can move your application through the process. And there are 180 applications that are currently under review with our Office of Compliance and Investigation. Licensing update, total recreational licenses that have been approved as of November 25th of 2024. We have a little over 1,500 conditional licenses that have been approved by the board, almost 400 conditional to annual conversions, 220 annual licenses, and 80 expanded ATCs, which is a grand total of 338 total operating licenses in AU and permits in medical. Today, applications up for consideration. We have 87 permit renewals for medical applications, 25 conditional applications, 19 conditional to annual conversion applications, 10 annual applications, and 21 annual renewal applications that will be up for consideration. And as always, we'll update on patient numbers. The current patient enrollment as of December 9th of 2024, there's a little over 66,000 patients in the registry. We have a little 4,461 caregivers that are registered currently, and a little over 1,500 doctors that are part of the program. And that will be my update. Back to you, Madam Chair.
Thank you very much, Director Riggs. Are there any questions from the board for Director Riggs? Hearing none, we will move along.
The next item on the agenda are the committee reports.
Yes, and so here we've got our ad hoc bylaws committee to provide a report on their findings after a review of our agency bylaws. Commissioner Nash.
Sure. Vice Chair Delgado and I sit on the ad hoc bylaws committee. And we were tasked with taking a look at the bylaws that were adopted in January 2022. And making some recommendations to those bylaws. The bylaws govern the activities of the commission and serve to define its basic organizational structure, determine which staff, committee, or commission members have authority and decision-making responsibilities, and how those responsibilities should be carried out. And so to ensure that the bylaws reflect the current authorities, responsibilities, and organizational structure of the commission, it is necessary to amend the previously adopted bylaws. As such, the bylaws committee is recommending the following. section 2.2, the powers and duties and functions related to personal use cannabis. We're recommending just that the bylaws are updated to mirror the CREAM Act. In section 3.01, commission members, the CREAM Act specifically defines the commission members as members, commission members, and then it defines executive director and staff. So we wanted to make sure that our bylaws were accurately reflecting the definitions in the CREAM Act. Currently, the board is referred to as the board of directors. So just wanted to go back to the accuracy of the CREAM Act. In section 3.12, delegation of authority. This allows the commission members to delegate authority to other commission members or commission staff or even the standing committees who might have more relative experience of the topic at hand. Also a quorum. Previously, the enabling statute allowed for a simple majority of those present to vote on an action, and we redefined it to specify that it must be 3. In section 4.05, we removed proxy voting since agencies need statutory authority for proxy voting and the commission statute lacks that. And lastly, the standing committees. So we have several. We have the audit committee, and we are now adding the responsibility of developing and improving the commission's annual budget, which was previously handled by the office of the executive director. We also have a public engagement committee, and so there was just adding more definition to and responsibility to the language of the bylaws that will include developing public awareness campaigns. And lastly, we have a product safety packaging labeling committee, and we are working on testing guidance, and we are just including that we are developing that testing guidance and putting that in the bylaws. And that is all I have. Vice Chair Delgado, is there anything you would like to add?
No, I don't, thank you.
Chairwoman, back to you.
Thank you very much, Commissioner Nash, and thank you to your committee, Vice Chair Delgado, for the thorough review of the agency bylaws and presenting these findings. Are there any questions from the board? Hearing no questions, we'll move on.
The next item on the agenda is the consideration of public notices and publications.
We'll start with the social equity excise fee and the adjustment of the fee for calendar year 2025. Director Riggs, I'll turn the floor over to you.
Thank you, Madam Chair. The social equity excise fee, in accordance with our regulations at 17.30-3.2, requires that if the average retail price of an ounce of usable cannabis in the calendar year is at least 250 but less than 350, the excise fee shall be $30 per ounce of usable cannabis and $8 per ounce of unusable cannabis sold for the purpose of manufacturing. Right now, the current average statewide retail price of cannabis is $330.68 per ounce. It falls within that range, and therefore it is recommended that $30 per ounce be set for the social equity excise fee. Thank you.
Thank you, Director Riggs. Are there any questions for Director Riggs? Hearing no questions, is there a motion on this matter?
Madam Chairwoman, I have a motion to make. Yes, raising the social equity excise fee may seem like a quick solution to funding social equity initiatives. But the broader implication on consumer pricing, market health, and business sustainability cannot be ignored. We in the New Jersey Cannabis Regulatory Commission must strike a balance, ensuring that the New Jersey cannabis industry remains competitive, inclusive, and capable of supporting social equity goals without excessive taxation, increasing the price for consumers, and driving operators out of the market. Therefore, I move to waive NJ-17:30-34 subsection C and set the social equity excise fee at $2.50 per ounce of usable cannabis and waive any tax per ounce of unusable cannabis sold for the purpose of manufacturing for the year 2025.
Second.
Moved by Vice Chair Delgado, seconded by Commissioner Nash. Before we open the floor to discussion, I want to give the Director Riggs an opportunity to weigh in on the unusable cannabis for the purpose of manufacturing. So right now, I believe about half, please correct me if this is wrong, about half of the products sold, maybe a little bit less than half of the products sold are items that are manufactured cannabis items, is that correct?
That's correct, a little bit about 40%.
We'll go 40%, okay. And so what would that mean if we were to impose no excise fee on the cannabis that is used for the purposes of manufacturing?
It would be similar to the seat that is set now, where we do not have any different change to the $2.50 per pint.
Thank you. Any further discussion on this matter, on this motion?
Yes, Madam Chair. Briefly.
Commissioner Barker.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Thank you for those remarks, Commissioner Delgado. I also want to thank the industry and the stakeholders for your patience as we've been working on this important matter. As Commissioner Delgado stated, we've been trying to strike a balance, especially at this early stage in the industry. And it has not been easy to come to this decision. You know, we spoke to several stakeholders, and this seems to be fair at this stage of where we are in the New Jersey cannabis marketplace. We did talk to stakeholders who supported the idea of a tiered approach to the fee. But after talking to our legal counsel and our DAGs, they didn't feel like that was something that we could do at this time. You know, even though that seemed like it could yield the results and the intentions that fee and cannabis legalization aim to achieve. So we're just hopeful that the CRC and the legislature and or the legislature can revisit that approach in the near future. We're hopeful that the CRC can collaborate more with the governor's office and the legislature going forward regarding where the social equity investments can be made with tax revenue and fee. And we hope that cannabis tax revenue is going towards new creative programming, and not just existing programming that already is funded in the budget. And one more thing I'll just touch on. We hope that the industry responds in kind. We hope prices continue to decrease significantly. We know New Jersey still has some of the highest cannabis prices in the nation compared to identical or similar cannabis products in other states. And so we hope that our major companies can control much of the supply. We hope they're able to provide even more affordable prices to patients, to wholesalers, and to customers. And we hope that new cultivators, who we are concerned about, we hope that they're able to afford and potentially absorb the fee and still maintain competitive margins for their business. As Commissioner Delgado stated, we have to work together to make this marketplace as equitable and beneficial as possible, especially for those most harmed by the failed drug law. And we're hoping that this is a step in the right direction. Thank you. And I just want to add to that, Madam Chair, because I know you just talked to Executive Director Riggs. Is there a likelihood that we will be challenged on the unusable cannabis? That's part of my concern. because it didn't seem to be, statutorily mandated. But could you speak to that if we were to, add the unusable fee charge, where would that leave us in terms of a potential challenge?
Thank you, Commissioner, Barker. So as to the specific question, seeking legal advice, I think that would need to have an a closed executive session.
Okay.
Well, happy to, for us to adjourn if you, to go into a brief executive session, if you feel that you need to get clarity on this legal question.
I wouldn't wanna, make that decision by myself. If it's a group decision, I'm okay with that. I think I'm fine if it's something that, can't just be, articulated right now, and the group, you know, because I want to be respectful of everybody's time. I know we already did a 2-hour executive session. And so I just wanted to receive that answer, because it would be able to help inform the decision, but, again, I defer to the group to see if that makes sense.
Unless there are other commissioners who feel that they need to get some additional insight into this legal question from our legal counsel, I think we'll move forward.
Okay.
And so, is there any further discussion on this motion?
Yes,
Commissioner Nash?
thank you. So some might think that this market in New Jersey is mature. And I would tend to disagree to levy a $30 excise fee on this growing industry would decimate some businesses. And we certainly don't want to undo what these businesses have worked so hard to create. But at the same time, I want to recognize the importance of funding programs through the social equity excise fee that enrich the lives and communities, or certain communities. And I know that the balance is probably the seed fund is around $4 billion, I believe, which in state government does not sound like a lot. But I come from the nonprofit world, and I think that we can get creative here and recognize that, you know, a nonprofit, a local nonprofit whose founders work in the communities and know their communities and are trusted, but may not have a lobbyist or can't afford it. A $10,000, a $50,000, $100,000 grants really can go a long way. They can buy supplies, you can hire someone, you can create a reading program. So there is a lot we can do with the money that's already in the account. And just a heads up that we will be hosting again the hearings that inform these appropriations that we summarize in a report and send to the legislature and the governor's office. So we hope that you can join in again this year. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you, Commissioner Nash. Commissioner Costa.
Thank you, Madam Chair. This is definitely a hard decision to make, for sure. At the last board meeting, I was proposing $10, and after having had conversations with different stakeholders, the permanent licensing committee hosted different roundtables, not on the seat specifically, but on other issues. But this was definitely brought up as an issue to many applicants and licensees. So with that, I do appreciate everyone's feedback from the stakeholders and for making your voices heard. One thing that Commissioner Barker did mention that I would like to also emphasize is that we are going to continue to keep an eye on pricing. We want to make sure that medical cannabis specifically, and most importantly, the prices remain down and keep decreasing because our patients deserve that, they deserve the best. And then at the same time, adult use. So we will keep also an eye on the cost for that. So hopefully our partners and licensees work with us in that regard. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you, Commissioner Costa. I believe there's also, a need for us to, make sure that we are re-implementing the deadline in our regulations. But before we go forward I asked, Director Riggs, for information about the unusable cannabis, so, Vice Chair Delgado had, his motion would include, no fee on unusable cannabis for the purposes of manufacturing, is that correct?
Right.
Okay, I wanna make sure I had that correct.
So just wanted to clarify that, so how our C currently stands is $1.24 for usable or unusable cannabis that is used in the product, so if it's being used, then it would be $1.24 regardless. Is
Oh.
the motion as it stands now
Would not apply to the other.
would not apply to the unusable portion of things. So if the board would want to consider redoing another motion on those grounds.
I stand on my motion.
So, thank you to both of you. So, with that that clarity, then I'll re-ask the question about what the impact of this motion would have on the products that are, the unusable cannabis that is used for the purposes of manufacturing, like ultimately, this would result in an increased fee on, flour. But we would then see no excise fee that is actually generated, no revenue from the excise fee generated for about 40% of the items that are sold, is that right?
That's correct.
I thought we never had an excise fee on unused for the purpose of manufacturing. We always had.
If you could please silence your cell phones, thank you. Vice Chair Delgado, does that, I want to just confirm before moving forward that does not impact or change your position or your desired motion.
Let's put it to the vote.
I'm sorry?
Let's put it to the vote.
Well, the motion currently on the floor is to waive, NJ-CRC 17:30-3.4C and set the, social equity excise fee at $2.50 on usable cannabis and no fee on, unusable cannabis for the purpose of manufacturing. That is the motion currently on the floor. Vice Chair Delgado, are you suggesting that there may be interest in amending the underlying motion?
I have no interest in amending, the another commission doesn't interest in making a
Understood.
motion to amend, that's on the commission.
Understood. Thank you for clarifying that for me. I think that because we currently do set the excise fee on usable and unusable cannabis, I think it would behoove the agency to make sure that any excise fee that is imposed continues to be applied for both usable and unusable cannabis for the purposes of manufacturing, especially given the substantial portion of the market that is being, that does represent cannabis used for the purposes of manufacturing. I think I'm not so sure that the slight increase to $2.50 on just the usable cannabis would be reasonable enough to eliminate the fee entirely for our unusable cannabis that is used for manufacturing. So with that, I will make a motion to amend the underlying motion so that the new social equity excise fee that is being proposed by Vice Chair Delgado of $2.50 is applied to both usable and unusable cannabis to continue consistency and making sure that both are all cannabis that is ultimately being used is subject to the fee.
Point of discussion.
Is that a question?
Yeah, I do.
Mhm.
Is it Is it, unusable cannabis for the purpose of manufacturing really usable cannabis? I mean, you're using it for something.
Functionally, yes, but the terms are precise and the distinction is important, especially and so it's written out in our regulations, the distinction between usable cannabis and unusable cannabis. Unusable cannabis is that, you know, the parts that are ultimately converted into our concentrates and our extracts. So functionally, yes, you're absolutely right. Vice Chair Delgado, all of this cannabis is being used. However, under our regulations, the terminology is precise, and so it might be a misnomer, but it is important. And the unusable cannabis does play an important role, particularly here, when it comes to products and for the application of the excise fee. Does that answer your question? And I'm happy to invite our Director Riggs, if you've got additional.
I'm not gonna.
So, we have, I've moved to amend the underlying motion. Actually, so I will repeat that. The motion is to amend the underlying motion such that, so that the social equity excise fee that is imposed of $2.50 applies to both usable and unusable cannabis. I also believe we need to rescind the waiver of Rule 3.4D. So this is from Resolution 2024-297. This is the waiver that we adopted to remove that November 1st deadline from our regulations. I believe that should, now that we are ready to actually impose a fee for calendar year 2025, I believe we need to put that deadline back into our rules, back into effect, so that our friends at the Department of Treasury can have the leeway that they need to actually set up to collect the excise fee. So again, my motion is to amend the underlying motion so that the underlying motion becomes to waive NJ-CRC 17:30-3.4C and set the social equity excise fee at $2.50 on usable and unusable cannabis, and rescind the waiver of NJ-CRC 17:30-3.4D specifically to the November 1st deadline. Is there a second on this motion to amend the underlying motion?
Second, Madam Chair.
Motion has been seconded. Is there any further discussion on this motion to amend the underlying motion? Okay, no further discussion. So on the motion to amend the underlying motion such that the new motion becomes to waive NJ-CRC 17:3.4C and set the social equity excise fee at $2.50 for usable and unusable cannabis, and to rescind the waiver of NJ-CRC 17:30-3.4D, putting the November 1st deadline in our regulations back into effect. Mr. Saeed, can you please call the vote on this motion to amend the underlying motion?
Commissioner Barker,
Abstain.
Commissioner Beltran,
Yes.
Commissioner Nash,
Yes.
Vice Chair Delgado,
Yes.
Chairwoman Wainum.
Yes.
The motion passes.
All right, so now we have the underlying motion has now become to waive NJ-CRC 17:30-3.4C, set the social equity excise fee at $2.50 on usable cannabis and unusable cannabis, and rescind the waiver of NJ-CRC 17:3-3.4D to reimpose the November 1st deadline for setting the social equity excise fee. Is there any further discussion on this now amended motion? Hearing none. On the amended motion, Mr. Said, can you please call the vote?
Commissioner Barker,
Abstain.
Commissioner Del Coso,
Yes.
Commissioner Nash,
Yes.
Vice Chair Delgado,
Yes.
Chairwoman Wainer.
Yes.
The motion passes. The next item up for consideration is the notice of application acceptance, cannabis consumption areas.
Thank you. Director Riggs, the floor is yours.
I'm gonna kick it over to Chief Counsel Space.
So on January 17th, the commission approved a notice of adoption for consumption area rules. What's at stake here is the notice of application addendum for consumption areas, which details what will how the commission will be accepting these types of applications. So all applications for consumption area endorsement must be submitted through the application portal, just similar to how all of our applications are submitted. They will be reviewed in the order they were submitted, subject to priority designation, which will detail in the next slide. No established limit for number of cannabis consumption areas statewide that limits how many consumption area endorsements a regulated entity may hold. So every entity can hold one consumption area endorsement. And the commission will maintain a website, a list of all approved consumption areas in the state. Slide, please. So the CRC will begin accepting applications based on this schedule. January 2nd, we'll start accepting applications from social equity businesses only. April 2nd will be for diversity owned. And July 2nd, we will be accepting applications from all of the applicants. Next slide, please. And then these are the requirements for a consumption area endorsement. One thing to note here is the municipal approval. We will be uploading a form on our website so that there's a standardized form for how our licensees can get that municipal approval. Additionally, there's several standard operating procedures that must be submitted. You have detailed floor plans, the application submission fee, and just one thing to note is municipalities are authorized under the statute to authorize or prohibit the operation of a cannabis consumption area. For those municipalities who do approve consumption areas, we just want to remind all municipalities that they should confirm ADA compliance. Next slide, please. So to be eligible for consideration for final agency approval, a cannabis consumption area endorsement must be deemed complete, responsive to the notice, as well as the regulations, have scored for approval, and meet all the qualification requirements in our regulations and submit all the fees. And then finally, for the next slide, here are the fees, the $1,000 for micro businesses for the initial renewal fee, and $5,000 for a standard consumption area endorsement. And they will be valid for 1 year, monthly, renewed annually. And with that, I turn it back over to you, Madam Chair, for a vote.
Thank you, Chief Counsel. Are there any questions from the board for Chief Counsel Liaison? Commissioner Del Coso.
No question, Madam Chair, just a brief statement. I just want to thank staff and Chief Counsel for making the following changes to this form and making sure that there is language in there that these businesses have a floor plan or an optional floor plan for, dedicated space within the cannabis consumption area that will be utilized by patients only, which is very critical, and also, to ensure that, they work with the municipalities to be ADA compliance, which is also something that we hear often from our medical patients, that they do need, a lot of these, resources. And with that, I'll turn it back to you, Madam Chair. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Delcy. Any further, any additional comments or questions from the board for Chief Counsel Toison? Hearing no questions, is there a motion on this matter?
Madam Chair, I move that we approve, this resolution regarding notice of application acceptance for our cannabis consumption area endorsements.
Moved by Commissioner Del Secoso, is there a second?
I second.
Seconded by Vice Chair Delgado, is there any discussion on this motion? Hearing no discussion, Mr. Said, can you please call the vote?
Commissioner Barker,
Abstain.
Commissioner Del Secoso,
Yes.
Commissioner Nash,
Yes.
Vice Chair Delgado,
Yes.
Chairwoman Wainman.
Yes.
The motion passes. The next item up for consideration is the annual report on adult use cannabis for 2022 and 2023.
Thank you very much. Director Reese, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Madam Chair, and at the outset of the meeting, you mentioned this, now we should be all caught up if everything goes as planned on the annual reports. So for the annual report for adult use cannabis activities for 2022, 2023, it's going to summarize all the regulatory and operational activities related to the adult use cannabis, including, the operational activities involved with the agency. The CRC is required to report this to the governor and the legislature annually, and we are doing that. The reports don't contain any personal identifying information, and they contain all the statutorily required data, such as the licenses that we issued, the type of license that we issued, demographic data from the Office of Diversity and Inclusion, the available data based upon arrest, cannabis-related arrests, or cannabis-related vehicle stops, whatever data was available, we have that in the reports. So at this time, we recommend that this report be adopted so that we can then send it over to the governor and the legislature, and then it can be available. Thank you.
Thank you, Director Reese, and I know I have been the one who's been very quickly in putting pressure on to get this done. So thank you to you and to our Director of the Office of Business and Data Analytics for their tireless work in getting this done. I'm really happy that this is finally up for board adoption and that we can get this completed. We've fully caught up on all of our required annual reports and move forward at a regular annual pace. Any questions from the board for Director Reese?
I just want to echo, as part of the audit committee, you and member of the audit committee, I just want to add key sentiments. I know the hard work and efforts that the staff in these annual reports. So thank you.
If there are no additional questions, is there a motion on this matter?
Madam Chair, I move to approve Commission's annual report on personal use cannabis activities.
I second.
Moved by Commissioner Nash and seconded by Vice Chair Delgado. Is there any discussion on this motion? Hearing no discussion, Mr. Said, can you please call the vote?
Commissioner Barker,
Abstain.
Commissioner Del Secoso,
Yes.
Commissioner Nash,
Yes.
Vice Chair Delgado,
Yes.
Chairwoman Wainman.
In the words of our honorable Vice Chair, an enthusiastic yes.
The motion passes. The next item up for consideration is the 2025 regular meeting schedule.
Thank you. Director Riggs, would you like to share out or do we? I know you and I have not actually gone about it.
We have talked about it. So we decided that we're gonna have some more meetings virtually next year, just so that the public has more access and also so that we can move quicker through licensing and everything else. So the annual meeting schedule is up there on the screen. And we'll have the in-person meeting Thursday, February 6th, and then March, the following month will be a virtual meeting. And we hope to move through issues and items quicker. That's why we are doing the virtual meeting. As it takes a lot of staff resources to set up these in-person meetings. Thank you.
Thank you, Director Riggs, and I just want to note, the virtual meetings, those would be limited to consideration of just cannabis business applications. So no other policy items would be considered on those days. Cannabis business applications would continue to be considered even in our in-person meetings, but our virtual meetings, those are the added space to either just to issue decisions just on business applications, as Director Rick said, to hopefully help the agency get through some of the application, continue getting through the applications, getting these answers out, these decisions to the business owners. Are there any questions from the board regarding the regular meeting schedule? Hearing none, is there a motion on this matter?
Madam Chairwoman, I move that we accept the meeting schedule for 2025.
Second. Moved by Vice Chair Delgado and seconded by Commissioner Del Coso. Is there any discussion on this motion? Hearing no discussion, Mr. Said, can you please call the vote?
Commissioner Barker,
Nay.
Commissioner Del Coso,
Yes.
Commissioner Nash,
Yes.
Vice Chair Delgado,
Yes.
Chairwoman Wayne.
Yes.
The motion passes. The next item up for consideration is the consideration of applications for ownership changes.
Thank you, and for this, I believe there's only one. So Director Riggs, the floor is yours to provide a summary of the application for ownership change.
Sure. Garden State Botanicals has submitted an application for an ownership change. They're changing their ownership structure. The entity has satisfied the regulatory requirements for an ownership change. Any additional owners and individuals that were required to be vetted were vetted and reviewed by the Office of Compliance and Investigations, and they have been determined to be deemed qualified to enter into the market. Therefore, staff is recommending approval of this ownership change. Thank you.
Thank you, Director Riggs. Are there any questions from the board? No questions. Is there a motion on this matter?
Madam Chair, I move to approve the request for transfer of ownership.
Second. Is there any discussion on this motion? I will note that for me, my biggest concern or question for this application came down to the matter of control. Who would ultimately control the business and business's operational decision? I thank Chief Counsel Troyson for working with the applicant to make sure that the issues that were identified were fixed. Ultimately, I was very happy that the original owner here did clearly note that they were aware of the implications of their agreement and willingly accept those implications. So that is why I am comfortable with this application going forward at this time. Any further discussion on this application? Hearing none, Mr. Said, can you please call the vote?
Commissioner Barker,
Abstain.
Commissioner Del Coso,
Yes.
Commissioner Nash,
Yes.
Vice Chair Delgado,
Yes.
Chairwoman Wayne.
Yes.
The motion passes. The next item up for consideration are the medical cannabis permit renewals.
Director Riggs, you said we have 87 of medical cannabis renewals. Medical cannabis permits.
Permits.
Yeah.
So we have 87 permit renewals, there's 22 cultivators, 12 manufacturers, and 53 dispensaries or retailers that are up for consideration. These are alternative treatment centers, so obviously their permit runs on a calendar year in accordance with regulations. That's why they're on our December meeting. All of these entities have submitted the appropriate renewal information that has been reviewed by the Office of Compliance and Investigations. They are deemed satisfied with all of these entities, and therefore we are recommending a renewal of all the permits. Thank you.
Thank you, Director Riggs. So yes, we got both, got two sides, I believe, thank you. So and all of those, entities that are up on the screen, are there any questions from the board regarding the 87 medicinal cannabis permit renewal application? Hearing no questions, is there a motion on this matter?
Madam Chairwoman, I move that we accept the 87 permit renewals from municipal cannabis applications.
Is there a second? Second. Is there any discussion on this motion?
Yes, Madam Chair.
Commissioner Nash?
There are businesses in this group of renewals that are what I believe, in my opinion, to be violating employee labor rights. I first want to thank the unions, and some members are here today, who work very hard going up and down the state to educate employees, cannabis businesses, of the right to join a union. Businesses' actions one of the businesses' actions in this group allegedly deprived cannabis industry employees representational rights and violate the policies of the CREAM Act. The denial of essential union representation rights is a clear violation of the ongoing labor peace and collective bargaining requirements of CREAM. The employees in question in this business are not covered under the NLRA. And in my opinion, the commission should gather all information that it can to determine if the notice of violation is warranted. So I'm putting business on notice that that's the avenue that I think we should explore, especially when employees have no one to look to if they can't go to the NLRB. Madam Chair.
Thank you, Commissioner Nash. Since there was a request, in Mental Works to have staff get additional information to see if a notice of violation is warranted. Want to ask Director Riggs if he would be amenable to doing that, gathering that additional information.
Yeah, absolutely, we'll open an investigation.
Thank you. Any further discussion on this motion? Hearing no further discussion, Mr. Said, can you please call the vote?
Commissioner Barker,
Abstain.
Commissioner Del Coso,
Yes.
Commissioner Nash,
Yes.
Vice Chair Delgado,
Yes.
Chairwoman Wainum.
Yes.
The motion passes. The next item up for consideration are the adult use cannabis business conditional license applications.
Director Riggs, the floor is yours to provide a summary of the conditional license applications.
Thank you. 25 conditional licenses up for consideration today, 7 cultivators, 1 delivery, 7 manufacturers, and 10 retailers. These licenses and applicants that will be put up on the slide, and Wesley will go very slow so you can see, have followed the licensing process. There's been a priority assignment where we confirm that each application is assigned to the appropriate review priority. diversity of business status, social equity business status, residency if required, and carriers are sent if we need additional information. That priority has then been verified, making sure that we have, not only have we received the documentation, but that documentation is clear and supported. And then there's a completeness review to make sure that the application is complete and all required information is submitted. And then the conditional applications are explored, and once scored, they are recommended for approval. So these 25 are now recommended for approval by the board.
Thank you, Director Race. Are there any questions from the board? Hearing no questions, is there a motion on this matter?
Madam Chair. Oh, go ahead.
I thank you. I move that we adopt a resolution considering conditional license applications for class 1, class 2, class 5, and class 6 licenses.
Commissioner Del move to adopt the resolution approving the conditional license applications. Is there a second?
Yeah, I said.
Second.
Commissioner Barker, seconded by Vice Chair Delgado. Is there any discussion on this motion? Hearing no discussion, Mr. Said, can you please call the vote?
Commissioner Barker,
Aye.
Commissioner Del
Yes.
Commissioner Nash,
Yes.
Vice Chair Delgado,
Yes.
Chairwoman Wainham.
Yes.
The motion passes. The next item up for consideration are the adult use cannabis business conversion license applications.
So here we have, we'll start off with 18, I believe. Director Race,
Thank you. We have 18 conditional annual conversion licenses up for consideration today. 5 cultivators, 1 manufacturer, 12 retailers. These have all followed the conditional process that I just mentioned with priority assignment, priority verification, completeness review, and then were scored. They also underwent the process of a qualification review where individuals, financial sources, and any other agreements are reviewed for regulatory compliance. Background checks are reviewed to ensure the owners and the persons of interest are qualified to enter into the adult use cannabis market. And then there's a quality control process that was conducted by the Office of Licensing, Office of Compliance and Investigations, and our legal office. All of these applications have undergone that process. They've been reviewed, scored, and are now recommended for approval.
Thank you, Director Race. Are there any questions from the board regarding these 18 applications? Hearing no questions from the board, is there a motion on this matter?
Madam Chair.
Madam Chair, I move that, go ahead, Commissioner Nash.
I move to approve the applications to convert from conditional to annual.
Moved by Commissioner Nash. Is there a second?
I'll second that.
Seconded by Commissioner Barker. Is there any discussion on this motion? Hearing no discussion, Mr. Said, can you please call the vote?
Commissioner Barker,
Aye.
Commissioner Del
Yes.
Commissioner Nash,
Yes.
Vice Chair Delgado,
Yes.
Chairwoman Wainham.
Yes.
The motion passes. The next item on the agenda, we have consideration of a conversion application for Story Dispensary of Springfield LLC. Commissioner Del has recused herself from this conversion application due to an ongoing professional relationship. On account of her recusal, she will step out of the room while the board considers this particular application. Afterward, Commissioner Del will come back in and will take up the next order of business.
All right, Director Race, I will turn the floor over to you. Again, please silence your cell phones. If you need to take a phone call or watch a video, do anything else on your cell phone, please just step outside these doors and do what you need to do. But please keep all phones on silent or vibrate. Director Race, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Madam Chair. This conditional annual license has gone through the same process that I just mentioned. There was a priority assignment, that priority was verified. Completeness review was conducted, the application was scored. They were reviewed for qualifications to determine that they were qualified to enter the adult use market. And then the quality control process was followed. Therefore, this license is recommended.
Thank you very much. Are there any questions from the board? Hearing no questions, is there a motion on this matter?
Madam Chair, I move to approve the application of Story Dispensary of Springfield to convert from conditional to annual.
Is there a second?
I second.
Is there any discussion on this motion? Hearing no discussion, Mr. Said, can you please call the vote?
Commissioner Barker,
Aye.
Commissioner Del Coso has recused herself, Commissioner Nash,
Yes.
Vice Chair Delgado,
Yes.
Chairwoman Wainum.
Yes.
The motion passes. The next item up for consideration are the adult use cannabis business annual license applications.
Yeah, turn the floor over to Director Riggs.
Thank you. Next slide. So we have 10 annual licenses up for consideration today. There's 4 manufacturers and 6 retailers. They follow the exact same licensing process that I mentioned. And these applications have been reviewed, scored, and are now recommended for approval on the.
Thank you, Director Riggs. Are there any questions from the board?
Just real quick, Madam Chair, are we voting on all of the original annual applications, or was there, an amendment to the list of annuals?
At present, Commissioner Barker, staff are recommending, 10 applications be approved. But if the board wishes to, make a change, then the board certainly can take that step.
Madam Chairwoman, I move to take remove Atlantic license to I was gonna say, item number 6, 2893 Atlantic license development, and vote on their consideration separate vote by the board.
Vice Chair Delgado, you are moving to vote on. You're moving to consider application number 2893 from Atlantic License Development LLC. And consider that separate from the remaining 9 applications. Is that correct?
That is correct, Madam Chairwoman.
Is there a second to this?
Second.
Seconded by Commissioner Nash. Is there any discussion on this motion to separate the two up? Oh, sorry, I actually have a clarification question for the Vice Chair. Are you also, is your motion also to vote on or approve the other 9 applications and just to vote on Atlantic License Development separately, or is your motion to?
My motion is to vote on the 9 and vote on Atlantic license development also in a separate vote.
Okay, so your motion is to approve the 9, a group of 9. And vote on the application number 2893 separately.
Separate.
Thank you. And Commissioner Nash, you still have with that?
That's correct.
That motion, okay, thank you very much for the clarification to both of you. Any discussion on this motion to approve the group of 9 annual license applications and vote on application number 2893 separately? Hearing no discussion, Mr. Said, can you please call the vote?
Commissioner Barker,
Aye.
Commissioner Del Coso,
Yes.
Commissioner Nash,
Yes.
Vice Chair Delgado,
Yes.
Chairwoman Wainum.
Yes.
The motion passes.
All right, so then we have application number 893. Is there a motion regarding application number 2893?
Madam Chair, I move to consider the annual license application for 2893.
I consider, do you clarify what you might consider the application? What action or decision would you like to include in your motion? Well, what is the motion that we would be voting on? Are you moving that we approve the approve application number 2893 or take some other action?
I'll leave that up to the board. So
Yes, we presently have this application before us and we need a motion on this matter. We need a specific action item. I will, okay, sorry. I will make a motion that I will move that we deny application number 2893, 2893 from Atlantic License Development LLC.
Madam Chairwoman, I second that.
Seconded by Vice Chair Delgado. Is there any discussion on this motion to deny the application?
yes, Madam Chair.
Commissioner Nash.
This application has come to the board on several occasions. We have been very thoughtful and deliberate in our review of this application and have given the applicants considerable room to provide the information that we requested. However, in my opinion, my conclusion is that what has been provided thus far appears to be either false or intentionally misleading information in the application process and in the responses based on 24 6I-36.
Thank you, Commissioner Nash. I agree. Under NJ-CRC 17:30-7.9, subsection I, the commission may deny a license application, a license applicant for an annual license under certain circumstances, and also set the Freedom Act, specifically New Jersey statute 24:6I-36. B also provides the commission the authority to deny a license application for failure to provide, for presenting false and misleading material, information about a material fact. I believe that to be the case here for the reasons explained under the advice of counsel in executive session and in the record. As Commissioner Nash noted, we provided the applicant several opportunities to provide clear and unambiguous information that would allow us to have a clear picture of how this business would operate. The applicant, I believe, provided false or intentionally misleading information about how the business would operate here in New Jersey, and for that reason, I am comfortable. I believe that denial of the application is warranted under our regulations and under the statute. Is there any further discussion on this particular motion? Hearing no further discussion on the motion to deny application number 2893. Mr. Saeed, can you please call the vote?
Commissioner Barker, Commissioner Del Coso,
Yes.
Commissioner Nash,
Yes.
Vice Chair Delgado,
Yes.
Chairwoman Wingham.
Yes.
The motion passes. The next items up for consideration are the adult use cannabis business annual license renewal applications.
Thank you. turn the floor over to Director Riggs to, provide a summary of those licenses that must be renewed.
Thank you, Madam Chair. We have 21 entities that are up for renewal of their adult use license, which includes some testing labs. The testing labs are on a calendar year basis, but all adult use businesses, dispensaries, manufacturers, cultivators, and others are on the cycle of a period of 1 year from the date of license issuance. These entities have provided the required documentation and required certification for renewal. This documentation has been reviewed by the Office of Compliance and Investigations, and they have been deemed satisfied by the documentation provided. Again, and I think I say it every month, every business needs to ensure that material changes are submitted to the commission when they happen. They should not wait until their renewal cycle to submit material changes. These material changes should be reviewed as soon as they happen. But we are recommending approval of all of the renewals here today.
Thank you, Director Riggs. And you've noted this particular advisory, multiple times. And so all businesses really do need to read your words here, because it's becoming excessive. And so we need to make sure that, the agency is able to quickly move through these applications for license renewal. The fastest way for a business to get its license renewed is by making sure your renewal application is as simple as it can be. And that means updating the commission throughout the year if you've got any changes, don't wait to look at. Are there any questions from the board regarding these these applications for a license renewal? Hearing no questions, is there a motion on this matter?
Madam Chairwoman, I move that we approve all the licenses for annual renewal referenced by our acting executive director, Mr. Riggs.
Is there a second? Second. Is there any discussion on this motion? Hearing no discussion, Mr. Said, can you please call the vote?
Commissioner Barker,
Abstain.
Commissioner Belsicoso,
Yes.
Commissioner Nash,
Yes.
Vice Chair Delgado,
Yes.
Chairwoman Waino.
Yes.
The motion passes. The next item on the agenda are cases, claims, and petitions.
We'll start with a determination of rehabilitation. And Director Riggs, I'll turn the floor over to you to provide a summary.
Thank you, Madam Chair. We have 3 alternative treatment center employees that have submitted a request for rehabilitation. When they submitted their background check, we received notice of a disqualifying conviction. They were notified. They were able to challenge the accuracy of those criminal charges or request rehabilitation. They chose to request rehabilitation and give them the opportunity to provide clear and convincing evidence to show that they're rehabilitated and able to work in the cannabis industry. We are recommending that all of these 3 individuals be approved by the commission and be able to work in the industry. Thank you.
Thank you, Director Riggs. Are there any questions from the board regarding these 3 applications for determination of rehabilitation? Hearing no discussion, no questions, is there a motion on this matter?
Madam Chair, I move that we approve the request for rehabilitation.
Second. Moved by Commissioner Parker, seconded by Commissioner Belsicoso. Is there any discussion on this motion? Hearing no discussion, Mr. Said, can you please call the vote?
Commissioner Barker,
Aye.
Commissioner Belsicoso,
Yes.
Commissioner Nash,
Yes.
Vice Chair Delgado,
Yes.
Chairwoman Waino.
Yes.
The motion passes. The next item on the agenda are consideration of waiver requests.
So we have quite a few waiver requests. to consider today, so Chief Counsel Faison, the floor is yours to provide a summary of these waiver requests.
Thank you, Madam Chair. So this is a new agenda item for the board, under regulation NJ-CRC 17:30-3.7A, the commission may waive a regulatory requirement regarding the operations of cannabis business. That several entities have been using this regulation to request a waiver of certain regulations that the commission has. The standard that the commission has to consider is under that regulation, and there are three factors that these entities must meet. The first is that it is necessary to achieve the purpose of the act. The second is that it is necessary to provide access to cannabis items to consumers. And three, that waiving the regulation does not create a danger to the public health, safety, or welfare. So all of these items are for the board's consideration to consider whether they meet all three factors, and each of the requests the board will consider each of these requests based on, the unique circumstances as articulated by each waiver request. So we will be voting on each of them one by one. So the first one up for consideration today, if you can go to the next slide, is we have docketed each of these, so we will refer to them as the docket number. The first is docket number WR001, that was made by the New Jersey Cannabis Trade Association. They request that the commission consider removing the mandates of both expedited access and patient-only hours, and instead require ATCs to choose whether to provide one or the other. And alternatively, the NJ-CRC requests that the commission eliminate patient-only hours and require ATCs to provide expedited access and designated point-of-sale terminals for patient transactions. With that, Madam Chair, I move it back to you for a board vote.
Thank you, Chief Counsel Faison. Are there any questions from the board for Chief Counsel Faison as it relates to the request from the New Jersey Cannabis Trade Association? Hearing no questions, is there a motion on this matter as relates just to the request from the New Jersey Cannabis Trade Association?
Madam Chair, I have a question. If we still want to protect the access required, expanded agencies to provide expedited access, we can do that.
Absolutely, you could. Absolutely, you could. So we
So would that require an amended motion?
depends on what the first motion is. I'll give you an example here.
Thank you.
I will move. I will move.
Yes.
I move that the commission approve the request to do away with the patient only hours requirement for businesses for our expanded ATCs. But still require expanded ATCs to have expedited access for patients and designated points of sale for our patients. That is my motion. Second. Seconded by Commissioner Del Secoso. Is there any discussion on this motion?
Just one quick point. I know that we do track the times of how long a medical sales transaction takes, and we want to make sure that we continue to track that information so that we make sure that patients are getting their medication in a timely manner.
That is well said, and a good point, Commissioner Del Secoso. Thank you. Yes, I believe that the notwithstanding that I do believe the facts here meet the three criteria that Council Faison articulated under 3.7. I believe the commission does have a responsibility of making sure that we are still monitoring these expanded ATC's commitment to our patients. I think the only reason that we've really reached the point of having periods with little in which businesses have little to no activity during the patient only hours is because we have more access points for our patients. And so whereas we had only about a dozen medical dispensaries when the adult use market first started, we now have 50, more than 50 dispensaries where patients can get medicinal cannabis. I think that now that we have opened those doors, we have more of these access points. I think it is normal for that businesses have seen reduced traffic here, and I think forcing businesses to be open for a period of time that sees little to no activity even doesn't serve the purposes of the Green Act. And so I am supportive of removing the patient only hours to our expanded ATCs. Is there any further discussion on this motion? Hearing none, Mr. Said, can you please call the vote?
Commissioner Barker,
Abstain.
Commissioner Del Coso,
Yes.
Commissioner Nash,
Yes.
Vice Chair Delgado,
Yes.
Chairwoman Waino.
Yes.
The motion passes.
The next waiver request is WR 002. It was made by Simply Pure Trenton, the licensee, and they request a waiver of NJ-CRC 1730 6.8G, and that regulation requires that a person or entity shall be the owner of only one licensed applicant or license holder. Chair, I'll turn it over to you for a vote.
Thank you. If there are no questions from the board for Council Liaison with respect to Simply Pure Trenton's request, I'll ask for a motion on this particular matter.
Madam Chair, I move that we approve this request.
Commissioner Barker has moved to approve the request. Is there a second? That's all for a second on the motion. With no second, the motion fails. Is there another motion on this matter?
Madam Chair, I move to deny the request waiver of NJ-CRC 1730 6.8G.
Commissioner Nash has moved to deny the waiver request. Is there a second?
Second.
Seconded by Commissioner Del Coso. Is there any discussion on this motion to deny the waiver request? I'll note that I believe that I agree with staff with respect to criterion 3 as to whether or not the waiver over waiving the rule in this instance would create a danger to public health, safety, and welfare. And I do agree that the staff's rationale for questioning whether criteria 1 and 2 are met. I think in this instance, the requester is a retailer seeking a waiver to enable them to add a new owner to the business only for the purposes of a cultivator license. And that's just practically not possible under our regulations. Because licenses are issued to a single business. I believe the request here fails to meet the 3 required criteria for justifying a waiver of the regulations. Is there any further discussion?
Briefly, Madam Chair.
Commissioner Barker.
Just respect that, disagree with that. I do think that, this request does meet all 3 prongs. I'm just gonna start concerned. I think the first prong necessary to achieve the purpose of this act I think one of the most critical intentions for legalization, for legalizing cannabis in New Jersey was to include people who have been most impacted, to include communities that have been most impacted and hardest hit, and to be able to reach people from displaced, targeted areas, to generate and ensure that social equity businesses are able to thrive and sustain themselves. And so I do think this specific waiver request, given the critical history that the applicant has faced, given the dynamics that this specific situation calls for, I do think it meets the first prong. Regarding the second prong, necessary to provide access to cannabis items, again, I do think one of the main purposes was to ensure that we are supporting businesses and encouraging businesses and people from artisan communities to open and sustain themselves and thrive. And so to allow a business that represents social equity, that has been disenfranchised through arrest and criminal penalties unfairly, this does provide access to cannabis items from social equity cannabis businesses. It is very hard, as the documents we received underlying this request have alluded to. There is a problem for many social equity and diversity-owned applicants looking to obtain multiple licenses and compete on a level with other operators. And so I do think, and as you alluded to, the third prong, it is meant as well. This is necessary to allow the business to grow and succeed. And I do believe it is a justifiable request. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Barker. I don't disagree with the sentiments driving your rationale. However, again, I'll note that the requester here is seeking a waiver to enable them to add a new owner only for the purposes of owning a cultivation license. And that is, licenses are issued to a single business, so it's not possible to allow multiple entities or individuals to own a single license. Multiple people and even companies can have ownership in the overall business. They can have joint ownership of a business, but the license is issued only under one name. So allowing others to have ownership interest in a business for just one particular business activity is unworkable from a regulatory perspective, because it would be nearly impossible for the agency to ensure that the new owner is involved in and benefiting from only the cultivation activities and not this business's existing retail activities. It'd also be extremely complicated to monitor the ownership limits for that owner that exist under state law and our regulations. So I do think that businesses that need extra funding definitely should look to our financial source agreement structure or add a new owner to their corporate structure for the entire business. It's just not workable or necessary to add a new owner just for the purposes of a single business activity, as is requested here.
Okay, can I add to that, so it's all clear? Are you saying there's no way to amend our regs to adhere to a request like this, or are we not able to do it because of administrative concerns and bandwidth?
Just functionally speaking, a business, the license is issued to one business. Like
I hear you there.
one business, one company has the authorization to cultivate or to sell cannabis. That's really what I'm saying here. There's one business that holds the license.
And so we would have been able to, if I understand this correctly, take a waiver that suffices for this request, even if there's an exception that ownership licenses of different classes can be held across separate entities? Is that what it's supposed to be?
Our regulations don't allow for that. Like our regulatory structure,
There's a way that we can amend this and amend our regulations to account for what you say we can't do.
Chief Joy's on, go ahead.
Yeah, so what's actually here is you could, the commission may waive 6.8G and that regulation would be waived for that specific entity. In order to amend their regulations, we would have to go through the normal public comment period that we do for any amendment to our regulations. So it would have to be a notice of proposal with an amendment, 60-day public comment period, and then our responses to those public comments and then adoption by the board.
Okay, point out a little bit, then she comes to Tom, but if I heard you correctly, did you say that we would essentially have to do like a general public comment period?
Yeah, so so what we can do at this moment would be to just waive the regulation based on the standards under 3.7. However, we wouldn't be able to make a new rule without the normal public comment period that we normally do when we have a notice of proposal and an adoption.
Yeah, we can't create an entirely new regulatory structure through a rule waiver.
So can you just expand on when you mentioned the waiving it based on 3.7? Can you expand on that a little bit, please?
Oh, the standards on the 2. So the commission may waive one of our regulations. And there are three factors that the commission should consider if they were to waive. If it's necessary to achieve the purpose of the act. The second is if it's necessary to provide access to cannabis items to consumers. And the third is that it does not create a danger to the public health, safety, or welfare. So if they meet those three factors, if the commission deems that the request meets those three factors, then they may waive that regulatory requirement for that entity that's requesting it.
Okay, maybe I'm confused, but I feel like Madam Chairwoman didn't deny this potential waiver based on not meeting the 3 prongs. She said that it can't be effectuated because of the law and the statute. So I was just a little confused on that part.
Actually, thank you, Commissioner Berger. I believe I did note that, I do not believe that all 3 prongs have been met. But having to reiterate that, here, I agree with staff's assessment on criterion 3 on the 3rd prong, but also agree with staff's rationale for questioning whether the first 2 criteria are even met. And, I articulated, and so I don't believe that criterion 1 or 2 have been met to support waiving the rule as it is requested by this entity. That is not to say that the business can't or shouldn't take on this additional entity as a new owner of Simply Pure. I believe Simply Pure can certainly add new owners under our regulations, if they need, if they want to bring that entity on as a partner to help in their operations. But as it is proposed in the request that we received, the request does not meet the standards for waiving the rule and is impractical.
Yeah, I think that's the end. I think we can agree to disagree on whether it meets the 3 prongs, but when you're adding it's impractical, that's what getting confusing because there seems to be a difference of opinion on whether it meets the 3 prong analysis. Now, when you say it's impractical, I'm trying to get a better understanding of that and how to make it practical.
Understood, but I think, as you articulated, that what you were talking about allowing a business allowing multiple businesses to have different licenses would require a new regulatory structure, and that cannot be effectuated while we're doing a rule proposal as Chief Joy's on.
So I'm not necessarily agreeing that we need a new regulatory structure. I was my understanding that this could be done. It may be the case, I could be wrong here, but it just seems like this is in a way, a type of vertical integration. You have an applicant who is the owner of one entity, and he wants to maintain, or they want to maintain the same, their ownership in another entity. And on a case by case scenario, given these underlying facts, I do think it is appropriate, and I'll be there.
Thank you, Commissioner
Madam Chair, I have a question for legal.
Commissioner Nash.
So it appears this is request for waivers for fundraising. And I'm wondering, I don't recall if it's diversity owned business or SEV, but would 84151 solve this issue?
So a 401(5) would allow investors to come in, but they can only own up to 35%.
But they could invest in the entities simply pure Trenton because they have a class 5 retail license.
Yeah, yes, I think if one of the owners of simply pure Trenton would want to own another entity, they could do that, they could take advantage of a 401(5), but they would be limited to 35% ownership.
Not them owning another entity, but another, potentially another cannabis business investing in simply pure.
That's correct too. Yeah, as long as they're diversity owned, they would have to meet the standards of the statute.
And I also want to note, they would have to be an owner of the entire business. Again, here, the request, as I understood it, the request is for a new owner to come in just for one license that the business holds. So here, this investor is being sought just for the cultivation license. And A 4151 actually doesn't apply to the cultivation licenses, but they would have to be an owner of the entire business that also has the retailer list.
Thank you, and thank you, Chief.
Any further discussion on this motion to deny the waiver request? Hearing no further discussion, Mr. Said, can you please call the vote?
Commissioner Barker,
Nay.
Commissioner Del Cid-Coso,
Yes.
Commissioner Nash,
Yes.
Vice Chair Delgado,
Yes.
Chairwoman Wayne.
My vote is yes, and I do want to underscore again that the denial of this waiver request does not mean that a new business cannot come in and support Simply Pure. There are a couple of different ways that business can do that under regulations as they exist right now. A business can become a part owner of Simply Pure. They could also enter into a financial source agreement if the need for Simply Pure's need is purely based on funding. Those options still exist. And a denial of this waiver request does not preclude Simply Pure from trying to effectuate a new ownership through the right to proper channels. So my vote is yes.
The motion passes.
Next waiver request is WR 003, Neve Verde. Also requests a waiver of NJ-CRC 1730:30-6.8G, which that regulation states to that a person or entity shall be an owner of only one license application or license holder. And I turn it over to you, Madam Chair, for a vote.
Thank you, Chief Counsel. If there are no questions for Council Joyce on, is there a motion with respect to Neve Verde LLC?
Madam Chair, I move that we deny this regulatory waiver request.
Is there a second?
Second.
Seconded by Commissioner Nash. Is there any discussion on this motion to deny the waiver request?
This I just want to say for the record, I think we're missing an opportunity to really level the playing field. You know, when we talk about equity, we're talking about, in my opinion, specifically designing for the need and the level that people are at, putting everyone in a position to be on a level playing field. And so when we have the law taking in vertical integration for certain entities and certain levels of business, and then you have individuals who are trying to also create operations and businesses to scale. And they also represent the social equity. They also represent those most harmed in the communities that have been disproportionately impacted. I think these are missed opportunities. To do better and evidence the equity that we say we're always prioritizing and alluding to. We talk a lot about how we're doing everything we can to help those most harmed, and then we get situations like this, so I just want to just articulate that. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Parker. Any, Commissioner Delcy.
Yeah, just a quick, and brief statement before we move on. In response to, Commissioner Murphy's statements, I just, as the chair of the permanent listing committee, these are some similar requests we got through the roundtables, and yes, we are doing everything we can, which is why we hosted the focus groups, in the first place, and we are listening from stakeholders and applicants directly so that we can understand what's happening, on the ground. And we have not set the recommendations to the board yet, but we are working on that, and we're gonna meet with the permanent listing committee next, so that we can sort those out, and then we can present a full review and also the next steps for that committee. So with that, back to you, Chair.
Thank you, Commissioner Sid. I also want to note, Commissioner Parker, I don't think any board members here disagree with the need to level the playing field. But this is not the proper vehicle for that. I think we all share the same vision for a regulatory scheme that is reasonable and offers businesses the opportunity to thrive. I haven't heard anything from any fellow commissioners that would disagree with that sentiment. Again, I think this is just not the right vehicle for effectuating this particular kind of change. And as with WR002, I believe this particular request before us does not meet the 3 criteria under Rule 3.7. I believe it does meet criteria, the 3rd criteria, but not the 1st and 2nd criteria. Here we have again a retailer that is seeking to add that is seeking a waiver just for the purposes of a cultivation license, and I don't believe that the 3 criteria under our waiver requirements have been met. Is there any further discussion?
This one for the record, I do believe for this one that the 3-prong criteria have been met. I don't respectfully believe that we at the CRC are doing everything we can to uplift those most harmed and really address social equity. But I'm hopeful that we can. I did hear you say that we should pay attention and we want to see the regs change. I'm hoping we can get to that expeditiously, and I look forward to being a part of that. Hopefully.
Thank you. If there's no further discussion on the motion to deny the waiver request for WR003, Mr. Said, can you please call the vote?
Commissioner Parker,
Nay.
Commissioner Delcy.
Yes.
Commissioner Nash,
Yes.
Vice Chair Delgado,
Yes.
Chairwoman Wainwright.
Yes.
The motion passes.
The next waiver request is WR004, it was made by Cannabis MD LLC. They request a waiver of NJ-CRC 17:30-6.8K And that requirement, that the majority share of the license applicant's ownership interest remains the same from the submission of the conditional license application until 2 years after the commencement of operations. Madam Chair, back to you for a vote.
Thank you. Is there a motion on this matter? I will move that we approve this waiver request under certain conditions. I believe that that the waiver be approved only for such that the the majority business owner can only transfer their interest to the other existing owner. So that this waiver would not be utilized to bring in new owners. I believe that this waiver should only apply for the remainder of the, this is a 2-year period, that is applicable under Rule 6.8K. I believe, and the waiver should only apply if the other owner has already provided all of the disclosure documents and gone through the vetting requirements, that a regular owner must abide by in the original application. I believe that has been met here. So I'm comfortable approving the waiver here because I believe it meets criterion 1 and 2 and 3 under Rule 3.7.
And just to clarify, this would only apply for Cannabis and the LLC. 6.8K still applies across the board for every other entity.
Madam Chair, I just wanted to also clarify that there would be no new investors. Condition.
My motion that there would, yes, I would support the waiver as long as it is not used to transfer ownership interest to new owners who do not already have an equity in the business and have already gone through the disclosure and vetting process of the commission.
And they would have to demonstrate that the harm that would be done if the waiver was not approved, is that correct?
That's correct. Yes.
Thank you.
Is there a second on this motion to approve the waiver request?
I second.
Seconded by Vice Chair Delgado. Is there any discussion on this motion to approve the waiver request? Hearing no discussion, Mr. Said, can you please call the vote?
Commissioner Barker,
Abstain.
Commissioner Del Secoso,
Yes.
Commissioner Nash,
Yes.
Vice Chair Delgado,
Yes.
Chairwoman Wainham.
Yes.
The motion passes.
The next waiver request is WR005. It was made by Organic Farms Corporation. They request a waiver of NJ-CRC 1730-7.15A to waive the 1-year waiting period to submit a micro business to standard conversion application. Madam Chair, back to you for a vote.
Thank you. If there are no questions for Chief Counsel Faison, I'll ask for a motion.
Madam Chair, I move to deny this waiver request for waiving the 1-year requirement for micro businesses to convert to standard.
Is there a second? I will second that motion. Is there any discussion on this motion? Here, I believe that denial is warranted purely because the issue is now moot, because this business has been operational for more than 1 year. In order to appropriately close this out, we officially need to make a decision on this, so I was asking for a waiver because the issue is now moot. Any further discussion? If there's no further discussion, Mr. Said, can you please call the vote?
Commissioner Barker,
Abstain.
Commissioner Del Secoso,
Yes.
Commissioner Nash,
Yes.
Vice Chair Delgado,
Yes.
Chairwoman Wainham.
Yes.
The motion passes.
Next waiver request is WR 006. It was made by Neptune's Garden. They also request a waiver of 7.15A to waive the 1 year waiting period to submit a micro business standard conversion application. Madam Chair, back to you.
Thank you. If there are no questions for chief counsel, is there a motion with respect to this waiver request?
Madam Chair, I move to deny the waiver request to waive NJ-CRC 1730, 7.15A.
Moved by Commissioner Nash, is there a second?
Second.
Seconded by Commissioner Delcy. Is there any discussion on this motion?
Vice Chair Delgado. Oh, you got a question?
Commissioner Delcy.
Yes, briefly, I just want to say that, this is another issue that, came out during those focus groups that we hosted last month with the permitting licensing committee. So we are taking a close look at those requests and a lot of the feedback that came from applicants directly. So, I move to deny this request for that reason.
Thank you. I appreciate Commissioner Nelson, your desire to keep our finger on the pulse with the permitting and licensing committee and keep an eye on this issue so we can figure out how we can, if there are improvements that need to be made to our regulations that apply across the board. Here, I agree with staff's assessment of the 3 criteria under Rule 3.7, and really have not all been demonstrated wanting to be efficient. While it is admirable, it's not doesn't illustrate a necessity. And I also share staff's about letting people take advantage of the priority review just only to convert to a standard business later, essentially cutting the line in front of our standard businesses that have been that wait for approval, for review and approval of their applications. Is there any further discussion on this motion to deny waiver request? Hearing no further discussion, Mr. Said, can you please call the vote?
Commissioner Barker,
Abstain.
Commissioner Delcy,
Yes.
Commissioner Nash,
Yes.
Vice Chair Delgado,
Yes.
Chairwoman Wainum.
Yes.
The motion passes.
Next request is WR 007 made by Schmidt Snacks LLC. They also request a waiver of 7.15A to waive the 1 year waiting period to submit a micro business to a standard conversion application. Madam Chair.
Thank you. Is there a motion on this matter with respect to WR 007? I will move to deny the waiver request for failure to meet the 3 criteria under Rule 2.7. Second, seconded by Commissioner Delcy. Is there any discussion on this motion? Again, I believe that the 3 criteria in Rule 2.7 have not been met here. And again, I share staff's concerns about letting people essentially cut the line ahead of our standard businesses that have been waiting for application. If there's no further discussion, Mr. Said, can you please call the vote?
Commissioner Barker,
Abstain.
Commissioner Delcy,
Yes.
Commissioner Nash,
Yes.
Vice Chair Delgado,
Yes.
Chairwoman Wainum.
Yes.
The motion passes.
The next waiver request is WR 009 Aunt Mary's Dispensary LLC. They request a waiver of 1730 7.17D5 to waive the expanded ATC certification fee for medicinal cannabis cultivators. Madam Chair.
Thank you. Is there a motion on this matter?
Madam Chair, I move to deny waiver request 009. Request for waiver of expanded ATC certification fees.
Is there a second?
I just like.
Is there any discussion on this motion? Again agree with staff's assessment of criterion 3 under rule 3.7. And as to criteria 1 and 2, I believe they have not been demonstrated. I believe the requester misconstrues the applicable standard review year, but the business itself on its own volition elected to submit a regular application, admitted to being able to sell cannabis for customers. They're able to grow, they have been growing, cultivating cannabis, and so I don't see a necessity here. Any further discussion? Hearing none, Mr. Said, can you please call the vote?
Commissioner Barker,
Nay.
Commissioner Del Coso,
Yes.
Commissioner Nash,
Yes.
Vice Chair Delgado,
Yes.
Chairwoman Wainum.
Yes.
The motion passes.
Can I have the motion was to deny, not approve, and I meant to deny it. I just want to put that on the record.
The motion was to deny the waiver request.
Yeah, I do support that.
Okay, so Commissioner Barker, you are changing your vote to
Yes, I am.
yes. Okay,
Yeah.
thank you. We'll make sure that that correction is made. Thank you.
Next waiver request is WR 010, made by Hudson Distribution Services LLC. They request a waiver of NJ-CRC 1739.15N to waive the requirement that staff members of cannabis businesses transporting cannabis items can only travel between originating cannabis business premises and receiving business premises with the exception of an emergency or necessary deviation. Madam Chair?
Thank you. As there are no questions or Chief Counsel Craig, is there a motion on this particular?
Madam Chair, I move that we deny this regulatory waiver request.
Is there a second?
I second.
Seconded by Vice Chair Delgado. Is there any discussion on this motion to deny the waiver request? Again, I think the 3 criteria here have not been met. Further, I think this allowing this activity that the requester proposes actually jeopardizes public safety, as it exposes significant amounts of cannabis to potential theft. As any non-cannabis business locations at which the requester wants to go to, stop at before delivering and dropping off cannabis products, may lack the proper surveillance, and may lack the necessary security measures that would keep cannabis under proper surveillance. So the requester here is free to structure their operations in a way that would reduce the need to duplicate driving routes, but the rule should remain in place. And there is no further discussion. Mr. Said, can you please call the vote?
Commissioner Barker,
Aye.
Commissioner Del Coso,
Yes.
Commissioner Nash,
Yes.
Vice Chair Delgado,
Yes.
Chairwoman Wainum.
Yes.
The motion passes.
Final waiver request for consideration today is WR 011, made by NJ Weedman's Dispensary. He requests a waiver of NJ-CRC 1730-6.8G1 to waive the limitation of family member licenses. Madam Chair?
Thank you, Chief. If there are no questions for Chief Counsel Faison, is there a motion on this matter?
Madam Chair, I move that we approve this request.
Then a motion to approve the waiver request, is there a second? That's all for a second. No second has been made, so the motion fails. Is there another motion on this matter?
Madam Chair, I move to deny waiver WR 011, like waiver of limitation on family members.
Is there a second?
Second.
Is there any discussion on this motion to deny the waiver request?
Yes.
Commissioner Nash?
In my experience of reviewing applications, I have seen and flagged many applications where families try and corner the market on businesses. And sometimes up to 8 family members will try and obtain a license, and the law is what it is to make this a fair and equitable market, and I think that some families can afford to have many businesses while others can't. So that is my basis for denying this waiver.
Thank you, Commissioner Nash. Additionally, I believe that I agree with staff that none of the 3 criteria under Rule 3.7 have been demonstrated in the request here. Any further discussion? Commissioner Barker?
I do this, similar to previous explanations, I do feel in this case, the applicant, for recommendation has met all 3 prongs. And I do just want to reply to Commissioner Nash that she did make some good points, regarding how, her experience, how she has seen and flagged different, potential applicants trying to corner the market, or, her experience where some families, have the wherewithal and the capital to afford this, and her concerns regarding that generally. I hear that, and I definitely don't take that lightly, and I understand that. I think what's unique about this particular situation that the board is facing on these decisions is that we're assessing this on a case-by-case basis. So this pertains to this, each and every potential waiver request that I understand it will come before you and before me and the rest of the commissioners. And so you can be able to delineate who are those people that seem to be cornering the market, and who are the people that have been impacted, who are the families that have gone through the criminalization, the over-criminalization, the devastation of their communities and family structure. As I understand it, the underlying applicant who's looking at his daughter has spent time in a correctional facility for cannabis. Who knows what that impact has had on the family, on the daughters, on the siblings, on the entire nucleus. And so I think for our purposes regarding these waiver requests, the beauty of it and the power that we have is to be able to assess it on the case by case and not have to generalize what this is going to do across the board. And so I do think, again, this is another missed opportunity to right the wrong of the failed drug war and uplift some of those who have been most harmed and level the playing field for them. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Barker. Is there any further discussion? Hearing no further discussion, Mr. Said on the motion to deny the waiver request, WR010, please call the vote.
Okay.
I'm sorry, I listed the wrong docket number. Deny the waiver request, docket number WR011. My apologies.
Commissioner Barker,
Nay.
Commissioner Belsit-Koso,
Yes.
Commissioner Nash,
Yes.
Vice Chair Delgado,
Yes.
Chairwoman Waring.
Yes.
The motion passes. The next item we have for consideration, we have the open public comment period.
Thank you. All right, so, as with every public meeting, members of the public can submit written comments, during or after, this meeting via our website, nj.gov/cannabis/meetings. The deadline for submitting written comments for today's meeting is 5:00 p.m. tomorrow, Friday, December 13. Written comments will be made public. Today's speakers will be limited to 3 minutes. Mr. Said will call on the names of those who have registered. We'll start with the folks who have who are here in person. When you hear your name called, if you could please come up to the microphone, just tap the button that is on the microphone just one time until you see the green light. And then you can start your comments. If you're on the phone, if you're joining us telephonically, we will get to you all after those who are in person have given their testimony. If you are joining us by phone, we ask that you please silence other electronic devices so that we eliminate the opportunity for electrical feedback. I believe that is it. Mr. Said, can you please call on our first speaker?
Thank you, Chairwoman. As a reminder, public speakers during this afternoon's public comment period will be limited to 3 minutes. Please be respectful and concise during your comments. And like Chairwoman Moreno said, I'm going to start with the people that are in the room first. The first person on the list is Juan Umana. If you're in the room, now's your chance. Next person on the list is Reginald Green. Yeah. Just press the button. Yes. State your name and please stick to the 3 minutes.
Oh, yeah. Second time. All right. Hello. Yes, button first, right? Green light. Greetings, Chair, Commission. This is my second time here on this matter about me being rebadged in. And I just want to say I spoke with Mr. Wesley McWhite, excuse me, Wes. I always see him everywhere. He's always in the field. I'm everywhere. I go to every cannabis event. And he told me that usually the rehabilitation processes start when, you know, you request it, you know. But one of the late great senators, Mr. Ronald L. Price, rest in peace, he said this. He said he was deeply concerned with this very issue that I'm having right now. And he says history has proven that when minorities don't fight for justice, it will be denied. He also said that we are sick and tired of misinformed, entitled, self-absorbed people who have never been targets of injustice, describing what it looks like to those of us who have. He was a man with a lonely voice, but had a loud one. He was very angry that the marijuana legalization bill was full of half-truths, empty promises, and it's not about social justice, it's about the money. I don't know, but we passed that. We here now because this board wasn't even formed when he came in. And this board is full of some intelligent people, starting with Madam Chair, who graduated from North Carolina with her jurisdiction doctrine. That's a lawyer. Then we have Mr. Sam Delgado, who's the vice chair, you know, marriage graduate, political science, retired Marine, you know. Then we have Commissioner Del Casol. I think I said that right. It's a tongue twister, but again, all you guys are intelligent. And then Miss Nash. I got to Miss Nash's resume, and then I kind of highlighted something because she formerly worked with incarcerated individuals such as myself that's trying to come back in to society. These charges are old with me anyway. So she understands the difficulties of us trying to come back into society as far as employment, housing, you know, the paper handcuffs that hold us back from proceeding on, you know. And then Mr. Tucson, he's not here, who's your chief counsel. Then you have Mr. Paul Urbis. He's the one that he heads this thing, the largest office in the CRC, you know. All you guys, like a few of your lawyers, I just have to tell you, 10 seconds not enough. I'm gonna have to write all what I have here, and I'm trying this again, and I hope that I don't have to keep coming back like 36 times to try to get my badge back, my employee badge back. So I'm looking for the enthusiastic yes, as Mr. Delgado states. I'm looking for an enthusiastic yes as well. So thank you guys for the opportunity to speak, and I look forward to being reinstated. All right.
The next person on the list is Allison Sozak.
Okay. Thank you guys for giving me this opportunity today. I just wanted to shed some light on the licensing, the reinstating of the licenses when it comes to things like nonviolent crime. You know, and this, the fact that we're all here is absolutely amazing. The fact that we were able to make this committee and this commission and this board, and do something with cannabis that we, you know, to end the prohibition is absolutely amazing. And I do believe that we can keep this reform going. And we just need to start, understanding what this is doing to people. So, the middle of October, I was told that I had to leave work immediately, to answer to a 9-year-old nonviolent crime. I am fortunate enough to have other resources, but I did in fact lose a lot of work. I did in fact have to, I turned down other jobs to take one in the cannabis industry that was very shortly taken away from me. And then had to jump through all of these hoops, go to my community leaders, go to all the court systems, and where some of this information is just genuinely lost at time. I do have faith in this industry though, and this committee, that if we can get here, we can just start taking a different approach to how we approach people with nonviolent crimes in their history. And do what we say that we're gonna do and try to reinstate us in back in society, and, you know, maybe just take a different approach to what we're doing now. Thank you.
The next person on the list is Joshua Wing.
My name is Joshua Wing. I am the co-founder and president of Flower and Flame Dispensary. We are a woman-owned PLC and proudly family-owned dispensary in Blackwood, New Jersey. I first want to thank the members of the CRC for all the work that has been done to build a fair and equitable market that provides a pathway for people to enter this industry, especially for those statistically who have not had the opportunity to participate in the legal cannabis industry. I am here today to speak in support of Allison Sozak. Allison has been a bartender at our dispensary and was an integral part of our team. As she has stated eloquently, her employment at our dispensary was abruptly terminated. I can't tell you how disheartening it is to have someone who, by all accounts, was asked to get through the regulatory requirements for employment, receive the provisional badge, only to have it end abruptly due to her 9-year-old nonviolent cannabis offense for which she has done rehabilitation work. People need work. People are looking for opportunity. I believe the issue is both a process issue and a social justice issue. I understand the development of a highly regulated cannabis market for just a few scant years is no small undertaking. We applaud the work that has been done, but as the industry matures in situations like the one Allison finds herself in provides, we would hope that the systems evolve in order to help people more promptly. Without definitive timelines, both employees and employers are left in the dark without support. As an organization, social justice is important to us. It's not lost on us the irony of a nonviolent cannabis-related charge being the cause of termination from a legal cannabis dispensary. We are intentional about providing pathways to employment for individuals who otherwise would not have the opportunity. This industry is built on the struggle of legacy operators and those disproportionately affected by the war on drugs. It is our responsibility to provide hand up and an opportunity for individuals to grow and thrive. We ask the legal New Jersey, as the legal New Jersey market evolves, we ask the commission would allocate resources to better help folks who find themselves in Alice's position. And with the remaining time that I have, I'd like to speak directly to brothers and sisters in the legacy market who currently find themselves on the sidelines waiting whether or not entry into the regulated market is for them. Make a plan. Align yourselves with individuals and organizations that share your mission, your values, and your ethos. It's not easy. Doors will close to you time and time over. But when those doors close, climb through a window if you have to. You are the rightful heirs to this market. Your innovation and work is the backbone of this industry, and there is a place for you here. Thank you.
The next person on the list is Oscar Carrillo.
Yeah, I'm trying. Okay.
Hi, and my name is Oscar Carrillo, Madam Board Botanicals. I know you guys see me here once or twice or 3 times. It's actually my body fourth or fifth. Great update. I did get my operational permit. I got my badge and everything. It's great, right? You would think. So for 2 months, I was held up with MFRs because they need to know what type of product I was making in order to approve it, in order to get an operational permit. So that once I'm operational, I can make product and sell it. You guys decided to change the rules mid-game, and now all MFRs are approved have to go through metric. So now, where I was originally supposed to start selling product after my 2 weeks of waiting for public whatever, now I'm stuck again. My stuff is none of my items are approved. I can't sell any products. All I can do is extract. And nobody can tell me why. I have items in metric, everybody talks about they need new products. I got products there that have been sitting there, that's not even looked at yet. Because as I was told, you guys have little things where it said ready and, in progress or whatever. Some of the things just been sitting there. So I don't know if it's an issue. I don't know what the issue is. I just know that here I go. Now I got full staff because I think I'm working, right? And now I've been benched for another month. So I don't know who's gonna give me the $100 grand in payroll that I just blew, but I'm assuming nobody here. But this is just out of hand, and this is just really, really out of hand. I can't get answers from anybody, or else I wouldn't waste a whole day sitting here. If I could get answers, I wouldn't bother being here. I got other things to do as well. I got 2 companies to run. So this is I'm beside myself on I don't even want to call it incompetence. I don't know the inner workings. I want to throw somebody, like that. But it's you got to ask yourself, man, how I can't run a business like that. If I ran a business the way this process went through, I'd be out of business. And then some. I'm almost out of business now, trying to just get through. Somebody told me to sell something. And what kills me the most is the 2 months of the back and forth with my compliance officer on my MFRs to go exactly to discuss exactly what the products were with the pictures and this and that and everything else you guys want in this little perfect little packet. So 2 months back and forth for that thing to go through to finally get this, to then be said that, oh yeah, well that process is no longer valid. Now we're doing it like this here, wait another 2 months, because that's what it feels like. Because it's been a 1 month already and nothing's gotten done. It's 0. So there you go. You got 9 seconds left. Thank you.
The next person on the list is Alan Truskowski.
Good afternoon, Alan Truskowski. I'm the executive director of the British City Business Incubator. I help startups to get operationalism in the industry. Oscar is one of the tenants to our program. I work closely with the city council and the mayor, and the city is really behind the program. But the issues that Oscar is experiencing with going back and forth about these MFRs, we had to resubmit them, not just back and forth on the information, but there was like 4 or 5 different packets, versions that were sent to us that we had to fill out over and over and over again. Again, he's operational, but he's not operational because we can't put any products in the market. You didn't say it today that I heard, but I heard multiple meetings where you said there aren't new products coming on the market. Well, nobody can bring products on the market because the whole process is broken or slow or something, but there's very little visibility, there's very little communication, and there's very little understanding about how to move products from concept to actual production. And the time, I mean, really, 4 months at least just to get these products launched, and we're still not there. In addition to that, I just wanted to briefly mention on the seed thing that we talked about today. You know, I think by applying an equal tax to unusable product is a little bit unfair because unusable product by its very nature is lower grade. So it's not a proportional 1 ounce of premium flower versus 1 ounce of trim. I think taxing those exactly the same seems a little bit unfair. Non-intoxicating hemp products. I mean, cannabis is hemp. I feel like you guys should regulate all hemp, and that way everything could be under your umbrella. And the other thing that I think is really kind of misleading and things that we need to change the way we talk about and represent it in the public forum is at the last meeting, there was a slide titled Awards by Class and Application. On that slide, it goes to say that there are essentially 206 annual cultivators, but then 2 or 3 slides later, there was another slide titled Operational Business Licenses under the CREAM Act. And there's actually only 21 operational businesses. And I would bet that if you started to dig in, there's probably far fewer that are actually transacting. So I think it's important to represent in the same slides the number of annual licenses, the number of operational licenses, and the number of transactional licenses all together so that we can see that's really the whole flow of this thing. And it's all represented differently. And I don't think there's clarity, and I don't think people understand how long the process really takes. Thank you.
The next person on the list is Chief Vincent Mann.
Here I go, Mosi, NJ-CRC, Kika, Guadalajara, Way, Monto, NJ-CRC, Longo, Chukwa. Hello, how's everybody? My name is Chief Vincent Mann, Territorial Plan Chief of the Rehabilitation Nation. This is a rarity for me, so it might go over a couple seconds. But I wrote down a bunch of things that I don't normally do. And the reason why I did that because they're very specific. So one of the things is I want to know, and I'm sure everyone else does too, if there's actually a requirement for the CRC to respond to public comments. And if so, is there a time frame in which to do so? Because not once has any of our comments ever been responded to, not privately or publicly. We've also been hearing throughout this industry, which we've been involved in prior to the CRC, that THCA hemp has been finding its way into MSOs. And that can only come from out of state, right? And that's due to the regulations of the state of New Jersey legal hemp program, where we are confined to a THC level of 0.3% total THC. We've also been hearing that MSOs have been purchasing clones from out-of-state suppliers. I want to know if that is true. Why has there been no attempt to include us licensed hemp growers in the creation of the new regulations that you have been tasked with and given only 180 days to do since September?
We have growers licensed in the state of New Jersey, to my knowledge, were not and are not a part of any lawsuit, but under the current law are thrust under your purview. How far along are you in creating those regulations? Are you going to permit our products to be placed into the metric system so we can continue to operate legally within the state? In regards to the excise tax for cannabis, it's my understanding that our hemp products are also going to be hit with an excise tax, as well as the 2% tax from towns, which we don't currently have, which is going to fill in any kind of gap for the excise tax on cannabis. So when you have an unusable product, maybe the words in that needs to be changed around, but in the end, those products are also being taxed upon, right? If you're a manufacturer and you make that product, there's going to be taxes. In regards to the $4 billion that currently the state has in its coffers from this cannabis program, how and when will that money be put into, I thought that I had heard that earlier. How and when will that money find its way to communities like ours? Excuse me?
This is just.
So we're having an issue with our timer, but your 3 minutes is up, so just if you could just bring it to a conclusion, thank you.
All right. In regards to limitation of family members getting licenses, MSOs have a market. They can have multiple businesses. Keeping those people, those home family members doing it that way is not considerate. Would you allow hemp growers to produce clones for the cannabis market, seeing how they're coming from out of state? And finally, all the challenges our community faces, especially in the state of New Jersey, to continually communicate with us is very important, right? It's also an obligation under Executive Order 122. I'll skip over some of this. In regards to the last thing about these people who have come here that have criminal records, there are politicians within the state, within New York, within the United States that have far greater felonies and things that are against them. But somehow they find themselves back into the political world, holding the entire trust of the population in which they support. Surely these few people that come here and have been coming here that we will witness to should have the opportunity to better their lives for themselves and their family. Thank you.
The next person on the list is Ryan Chase.
Hi. Well, I have a little bit of paper. Look. Reference to the clone, here's the phone number of the guy that's selling the clones to your legal distributors. I'd like to be the clone distributor in the state legally. You'd be familiar with that. My name is Ryan Chase. I'm 100% combat related veteran. I fought in Iraq and Afghanistan. I've got.
Sorry, Mr. Chase, if you could start over, we have a court
Sure.
reporter listening in,
Hi.
so they need to be able to
Can you hear me
hear
now?
your entire comment. Thank you. Press it one more time.
Yes.
Thank you.
Okay, sorry if I come off wrong. I've been here since 10:15 a.m. Haven't had any medicine. Not good. Okay, got traumatic brain injuries, severe chronic PTSD. Okay. I've been sitting here for a while, listening to all kinds of things about investors, manufacturing, the market, products sold, shareholders. I heard social equity about 11 times. I heard those most harmed in the community about 5 times. And once I heard our patients deserve the best. I watched a video the other day, that beautiful red-haired girl back there in March telling you that she needed medicine for epilepsy that she can't get. I'm telling you that I wake up every morning and I want to kill myself until I have cannabis. But it's illegal for she and I to grow it.
but you want to give everybody here a license to make money on it? I don't want to make a cent on it. I want to make clones to give to other people who are in severe pain and anguish that use this as medicine. If you'd like, I could give up custody of my 6-year-old daughter and move into my van and give you every cent of the $5,000 and change the government gives me every month, if you will leave me the hell alone to grow this plant for no money. Okay? It is disgusting to sit here and listen to these people who, quite frankly, looking around, I don't see more than about 3 people in this room who have ever harvested more than a pound in their life. Can I get a show of hands? Anybody in this room ever harvested a pound? Anybody harvested 50? Cool, right. Okay, good. And they're all here to sell it to people that don't know the difference. I listened to a podcast with Todd McCormick the other day. Not that you know who that is. He said that quality and quantity do not go hand in hand. And the problem we see now, and the reason you can't get real herb at a dispensary, is the same reason you can't get caviar at McDonald's. And it's because the people who shop at McDonald's don't know what caviar smells or tastes like and wouldn't know to order it. Okay? You have the nerve to call this stuff top shelf and medical grade? You're selling C-grade cannabis that hasn't even been cured. It says on the container when it was cut. And then a week later, it's in a Mylar. You don't put cannabis in Mylar. You put it in amber glass. Okay? It's not about money. It's a plan that God gave us. But here it's about cream. Everybody's a Wu-Tang fan, right? Tax rules everything around me. Cream, get the money. Dollar bill, y'all. This is what I'm used to having pot in, not $60 eighths. Okay? This is empty. It doesn't have to be. I want to give this girl what's called sweet pink grapefruit, which is the strain that she needs apparently to stop her seizures. I would like to grow jelly beans, so I don't wake up every morning and want to kill myself. So while you're granting licenses to all these people who make money in the name of social equity and justice and all these other flowery terms, I'm 100% disabled for fighting for you. Okay, can I get a break? I don't know what she did in her life. Can she get a break? You need my money that bad? You need her money that bad?
Sir.
I'm done. You don't have to say a word. Legalize medical home grow. Stop the nonsense.
Thank you, sir.
Yes, thank you. Thank you. It's nonsense. You should be ashamed of yourselves. You're sitting here regulating an industry.
Sir, please sit down. So we
Yeah,
can
no, I'm
move on
not
to
sitting
other-
out of here. I'm gone. Yeah, I haven't had medicine all day because I've been waiting to talk to you about the fact that you don't
Sir,
allow
please.
legal medical home grow. Okay, but you'll get all the money. You'll get $1 billion.
Sir, please, you are being disruptive right now. Thank you very much.
Yeah,
Thank you.
See you on.
Please. Thank you. Now, we'll move on to the next registered speakers, Mr. Segedy.
Thank you.
The next person on the list is Daniel Kessel. That's it for the in-person people. I'm gonna move on to the,
Should be on there, Thomas Garcia Grow Works. It should be on there. Well, it should be.
actually, no, there are other people, but you're not.
I should be. I'm standing here.
I should be.
He's here every month. Let him. I've been here, 6 months I've been dealing with this. Come on.
The next person on the list that's registered to speak is Dr. Marianne Donahue Ryan.
This is a joke, guys. This is a joke. This is a joke.
Thank you.
Good afternoon. My name is Marianne Donahue Ryan. And good afternoon, commissioners, board members, chair and vice chair. I'm here to request and explore a collaboration with Labeling and Packaging Committee with the goal of consumer safety, awareness, and education. As I said, my name is Dr. Marianne Donahue Ryan, and I am from the Organization of Nurse Leaders of New Jersey. and we represent the healthcare interests of nursing leaders throughout our state. As nurses are the largest number of healthcare providers, our concerns have to do with the awareness of the mental health effects upon our state's consumers of cannabis and cannabis products. According to the National Library of Medicine, cannabis use increases the risk to develop and exacerbate mental illness, stating that up to 50% of consumers with cannabis-related psychotic symptoms will go on to develop schizophrenia, bipolar disorder, anxiety, and depression. Across the US, rates of diagnosis for cannabis-induced disorder were more than 50% higher in November 2023 than in 2019. But as we know, and I'll depart from my notes for a minute, but as we know, there is no labeling currently explaining the dangers or the warning or the education or awareness of cannabis products, much as they would be for alcohol or tobacco use. So while we applaud you for the NJ-CRC Safe Use website, we really would like to work with you and join so that we can join with the state of Washington and other US states modeled after Canada, proactive approach to require warning labels on cannabis products in New Jersey. So there's an alarming increase across our emergency rooms throughout the state and throughout the country that relate to cannabis usage that's concerning and compelling, with the most risk of harm to both developing and the aging human brains. So in fact, since our organization's letter was written to you over the summer of 2024, there's been national recognition of the need for urgent action, which underscores lack of oversight from the federal point of view, as well as the state point of view, with the resulting disparities in public health protections across states where cannabis is legalized. So this report called for enhanced leadership, a stronger research agenda, and better educational symptoms to minimize public health harms while addressing health equity. So we would look forward to collaborating and working with the Labeling and Packaging Committee again, with the goal of informing and protecting our state's consumers. Thank you.
The next person on the list is Jason Russell. I hope I said that right.
Close now.
Sorry. Please state your name.
How you doing? Good afternoon. My name is Jason Roussel, two-time childhood cancer survivor. I was working for Verano. They offered me employment on the 20th of this year of March. They filed the attestation form with you guys on the 3rd. The letter of denial came with a date of the 3rd of April. Then a week later, I get an email from Verano stating that you guys issued me a provisional badge. I'm ready to work. And then 3 weeks later, I got terminated because my permanent badge did not come through. I was denied for disqualifying conviction of a marijuana possession from over 11 years ago. And the paperwork wasn't very clear on the reform or appeal, whatever process you guys call it, I'm not sure. But it wasn't really clear on what to do with that, and all the paperwork you were asking for from drug programs from 11 years ago, I don't have that on hand and don't know how to get that. But as far as the paperwork of the denial alone, I think it should definitely be more online, because I couldn't find the paper and had no way to get it back again. If I didn't take a picture and send it to somebody, I would have no access to the paperwork still. So I think there should be a way online to be able to pull your paperwork up. Why I was denied over a marijuana conviction, which I was led to believe that would actually give me an advantage to work in this industry. But it seems like only if I have money to open a business does it benefit me. If I want to be a worker, it does not. That's all I got.
The next person on the list is Andrea Regal.
Hi, My name is Andrea Rabel, and as you might have heard, I have epilepsy and brain damage. This isn't my first time testifying here, but I'm very fortunate enough that I'm healthy enough to be before you again. It's been a difficult year, and I'm sorry I'm a bit emotional. It can be a weird world to live in when it seems like strangers can care so much. But you can hit such a dead wall talking with legislators or politicians, and if people are emotional, it's because they're desperate. So please just give us a little leeway. We're all trying our best. We're not used to this environment. But I've been testifying all year and I want to focus on some more of the positives. It seems like there's been an uptick in interest in patients' rights this year. Early on, Jeff Brown even went in front of the legislators and spoke for home grow, which I know is not your jurisdiction. Chris Ricks, you're now in that position. I'm excited to see what you do this year. I know early on we had spoke about some outliers in the price tag. I'm interested to revisit that conversation and see what you can do in this position. There's been more talk about institutional caretakers, which is so important. We have virtual testimony now. Thank you, because it doesn't just take staff resources, it takes patient resources to try to even come here and have these conversations. But it's disappointing to hear that the virtual meetings that we added for this year are for streamlining more business stuff, licenses, not for patient accessibility, when that would be our chance to actually have our faces on screen and communicate with each other. But there are little tweaks we can make that'll still just keep working in the right direction. I'm excited about a lot of the committees you talked about today and some of the new goals. One thing I didn't hear that I would love to hear is the pathway that lets patients and the public help inform those committees. How do we work with those committees? Because we've been asking for simple changes like COAs to be posted online, solvents to be labeled on packaging, rescinding the temporary 100-pound batch size that we did talk about months and months ago and we're assured we would hear guidance on soon. My body weight is the batch size, and you test about a AA battery, about a third of my watch. It's not a representative sample. We need to do better for our patients. We need changes. We need stricter lab enforcement. This year, we pulled the Freedom of Information Act, and we're able to have lab data going back to 2022 up to this year. And I've seen with my own eyes missing tests and dangerous trends that point to, I'll say, unscrupulous behavior. I am not asking you to take my word for it. I'm asking you to take the lead. Please. I can provide the data. It'll be linked in my written testimony. I'm asking you to prioritize safety and prioritize patients. We need institutional access. We've been promised for years. Maybe with Jeff over at the Department of Health and interest here, we can make more progress on it, but we need more public involvement because 10 people were at the round table and this affects a lot more than 10 people in this state. For 2025, I urge you to revisit your priorities, revisit your code of ethics, the Jay Koenig bill that you're responsible to uphold, but reflect on the patient it was named for, please, and consider if he would have his needs met today. Understand I have 3 minutes a month, if I'm lucky, to come in here and tell you that my needs are not met. There are certain strains that are not commercially viable. There's no transparency in the market. And I just ask you to please consider if you can be the one to use your voice for patients this year and make it a priority. Please let us help you save the medical program. Let us help you so maybe you can help us. Thank you.
Next on the list is Samuel Reitbart.
Yeah, give it to me. Yeah, please do. I'm gonna yield my time to TJ if Bro works.
He's yielding.
I'm just gonna talk anyway. I'm Thomas Noor. I don't have anything to say today. I'm letting him. Thomas Norcia from GrowWorks. I came in here 6 months ago looking for access for the New Jersey hemp program of access to metric. The more time goes by, the more I just see more CBD, more CBN. You guys know how any of that's processed? The exact same way that you're banning in the psychoactive hemp ban. Now, manufacturers making gummies, tinctures, 1-to-1, where are they getting that from? Out of state. In your program, you guys are letting CBD come in as an input. You got a license in the state for CBD and I can't even get it in metric. I have liters of terpenes, kilos of distillate, kilos of isolate. I could be putting stuff in metric, but I don't have access. People don't know we're here. I'm reaching out to people and they're buying out of state. Your guys are buying CBD out of state. You guys are allowing THCA in your program through your MSOs. If you realize that, it's a problem that you're not acting. If you don't realize it, that's a problem. So either way, it's a problem because it's happening. It's kind of crazy. As we just went through a historic election. If you guys had to be elected for your positions, every one of you, would you guys be sitting here? Why are you here? Are you here for the people? Are you here for a paycheck? Why are you guys here? If you're here to regulate cannabis, regulate cannabis. I am a cannabis business in the state of New Jersey that was here 2 years before any of you guys had jobs. People over here, this is our lifestyle. This is your job. There's a big difference there. You guys could get fired or quit tomorrow and have a new job. Our lives are on the line. Everything we have on the line here. I've been operating for 5 years and now I'm dealing with all this BS. It's been over 160, 180 days since I first asked you guys for access metric. Zero communication. A little communication goes a very long way. You guys might actually learn something. But you want to learn something? You care? You guys really care. I don't want to have to drive 2 hours to come here and then sit here for 3 hours. I'm in North Jersey, Sussex County. I'm on a mountain. I see the Appalachian Trail on the mountain across my view. I do not want to come to these meetings. And I'm sure you guys don't want to hear me anymore. Let's act on this. My product should have been 5 months ago on the shelves of your dispensaries. Your inspectors are clueless. I still have, dispensaries calling me every week. Hey, we just opened up. We want your product. You can have CBD, but not smokable. And then I have to inform them, no, you don't. Meanwhile, they already have CBD products on their shelves. Why are they getting stuff from out of state when we are here in the state producing stuff? Psychoactive hemp ban, it's like the circus. The clowns come in, distract you. That's what the psychoactive hemp ban is, where you guys allow THCA in. That's what's happening. New Jersey hemp growers aren't providing THCA, we're not allowed. We're more regulated than you guys. John Kerr knows where I get my seeds from. He knows where I get my clones from. That's regulated. When I sell it, they know. You guys are allowing clones and everything in this program. If you know and you're letting it happen, it's horrible. And if you don't know, it's horrible. Once again, we need to act. There's businesses that have products.
So that was the end of the in-person. I'm going to move on to the virtual speakers.
Thank you.
The next person on the list that's virtual is Amy Kachalia. If you're in the Zoom room, please raise your hand. I do see you raising your hand, so I'm going to give you the chance to speak. Go ahead, Amy.
Hi there, can you hear me? Hello?
Amy?
Hello, can you hear me? Hello?
Just 1 second.
If you could please just silence any other electronic devices that you might have. Oh, you know.
Hi there. Can you hear me?
Right. We can hear you now. We can hear you now.
Thank you. Hi there. Good afternoon. My name is Emi Kachalia. I'm with the ACLU of New Jersey. I'm here to speak today regarding the social equity excise fee. I can't underscore enough just how disappointed we are in the CRC's failure to live up to the promise of community reinvestment that was embedded in the legalization law. A social equity excise fee of $2.50 per ounce is 12 times lower than the SEEF of $30 that the Commission set in their own regulations, leaving tens of millions of dollars on the table meant for communities most harmed by decades of criminalization. The people of New Jersey were clear from the start. They wanted legal cannabis that includes reparative provisions, and that means robust community reinvestment. Both the law and the regulations that followed promised that, and sufficient notice was given in both the law and the regulations to make clear to everyone when the change in the SEAF would occur. In March 2024, the CRC reported that the state's adult use cannabis market had achieved $1.3 billion in cannabis sales from April 2022 to March 2024. During that same period of time, less than $4 million was raised through the SEAF for community reinvestment. That disparity is remarkable, and today's decision to set the SEAF to $2.50 per ounce only continues that disparity. It is especially concerning when taken against the fact that New Jersey used to spend more than $143 million each year on enforcing marijuana criminalization. Increasing the SEAF to the level included in the CRC's own regulations would have been an opportunity to more seriously reorient our spending to support New Jerseyans instead of criminalizing them. Today's decision will leave millions of dollars on the table that should be invested back into communities that have borne the brunt of the drug war. And ignoring the law's promise also sets a precedent for future CRC commissioners and elected officials to disregard the reparative goals of cannabis legalization. We urge New Jersey to do more in the future to deliver on your promises. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. The next person on the list is Damon Henschel. If you're in the room, please raise your hand. Damon. I don't see that person, so I'm going to move on to the next person. The next person is Bianca Haynes. If you're in the room, please raise your hand. The last four of the number is 5812. So raise your hand, just to let everyone know, to raise your hand while you're on the phone, it's *9 to raise your hand. So if you do want to speak, please raise your hand and you're okay, there you are. Just please state your name. You have the ability to speak. To unmute yourself is *6. To unmute yourself is *6 on the phone.
You hear me? Hello? Hi, this is Bianca. Hi, commissioners. I'm writing to you as a worker from a MSO operation. Hold on one moment. I wrote some stuff down. I just want to bring it back up. Here we go. Sorry. My name is Bianca, and I've been a part of the cannabis industry for a year now. Currently, I work at one of the large MSO ATCs in the state, where my coworkers and I are struggling with the issue. Our debit card readers are currently not set up to accept tips from customers. Tips may only be given to us in cash. Previously, we were able to accept tips through debit card transactions without no problem. This has been an ongoing issue over the last several months and has directly impacted the finances of myself and all my coworkers. Previously, our tips would be roughly $600 per paycheck. Currently, we're lucky if we get $300. We rely on the tips to pay for our bills. Our management team has told us multiple times that there is nothing that can be done. They're also mentioned this is a statewide issue in every dispensary. I took the time to speak to some of my colleagues in the industry, and I learned that in their dispensary, they have no problem accepting tips through debit card transactions and have either fixed this issue or never experienced it in the first place. I'm unsure if the CRC can help us with this, but it's important to the workers that you are aware of this issue. All we ask is for transparency and the respect from our company to resolve this issue. Please help our tips whole again. And my question would be, is there any control or help that you can give us to get the debit readers mandatory by the dispensaries?
You do have some. You do have some. Have to share additional comments. There's nothing. Then we'll move forward.
Thank you, Bianca. If you have further comments, please write them into the CRC. The next person on the list is Antonio Messina. Last four is 5917. If you're, there you are, Antonio, I see you. Antonio, if you can hear me, please, it's star 9 to unmute.
Good afternoon, Commissioners, Chair and Vice Chair. Can everybody hear me? My name is Antonio Messina. I'm one of the business owners of Suburban Greens Dispensary in Warren County, Washington Borough. I'm here today for questions in regards to the struggles since August of 2023 with the Washington Borough. My goal today is to highlight delays and gather actionable feedback and emphasize my commitment to resolve these concerns. I have 4 key points I want to discuss. One is the letter of support versus the ordinance. Can you confirm that the town fully understands the distinction between the letter of support we require for approval and the ordinance needed to allow us to operate as a dispensary? What specific concerns does the town have in providing the letter of support, given that we already have a preliminary land and use approval? Addressing a public right-of-way or vacation, what rationale is the town using to discredit our state-approved documents and licensed surveying findings? Why is the town denied the vacation despite the precedent set with our neighbors on both sides of the property in 1987 and 1994 accordingly? The town has not consulted any third-party experts to validate or dispute, only the town attorney. Accountability and transparency. Why is one individual or a lawyer being allowed to override the evidence and documentation we have provided? What checks and balances are in place to ensure fairness in this process? Can the town provide a clear and written explanation of their concerns and requirements so we can ensure that all future submissions meet expectations? Of course, this is just a path to a resolution, and I would like to get the steps that would need to be taken, or what steps does the town recommend that we take to move forward in resolving this right-of-way issue? If the town continues to reject our documentation, both on the state and personal licensing side, what appeal process or authority can we escalate this to? These questions directly address the inconsistencies and bring focus to the lack of resolution despite my best efforts. I hope this encourages you guys to provide a clear actionable feedback or escalate this issue if necessary.
We have 40 seconds left.
I thank you. That's all I have.
Thank you. The next person on the list is Charlene Davis. If you're in the room, please raise your hand. Last 4 of the number is 8881. Charlene Davis, if you're in the room, please raise your hand. The next person on the list is John Cohn. If you're in the room, please raise your hand. The last 4 is 8083. John Cohn. I'm going to go over the list again. That's the end of the virtual. I'm just going to go over them again. Charlene Davis, John Cohn, That's it. Chairwoman Moreno, this will conclude the registered speakers we have for today's public meeting.
Thank you, and thanks to everyone who shared their ideas and their experiences, and their recommendations for the commission. This concludes the business that we do have for us today. With that, I move that we adjourn today's meeting. Is there a second?
Second.
Seconded by Commissioner Nash. Is there any discussion on this motion to adjourn? Hearing no discussion, all those in favor of adjourning say aye. Aye. All those opposed say nay. Any abstentions? Motion passes. The time is 4:27 p.m. And we are adjourned for today. Everybody stay safe, stay warm, happy holidays and a happy new year. Thank you.